Hello? Oh, there we go. Tally. What? 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 Okay, bye. We are live.
Oh shit, we're live.
Indeed.
I should tweet. Are we live on the YouTubes as well?
Indeed.
Does that link change every time we go live for YouTube, or can I use the same link week after week? Because it looks like it creates like a. I think it's a new video.
a different link. Yeah. Yeah, it is because as soon as it's done, the VOD is publicly available, so it's a separate link.
Gotcha. Makes my job harder.
Just go to our YouTube channel, No Faith.
Nah. Oh.
4Player Network.
Grabbing this.
See if this works. I'm not certain if this command works.
We probably need to update our commands.
Yeah, we still got ones that are reflecting years past.
I will do that. Maybe I'll do that while we're waiting for other people to get here.
Yeah.
I can never finish this announcement message.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to grab some tea. Be right back.
Go grab some tea. Christopher Davis. I can't see chat right now, by the way. Okay. There we go. Pulling up chat now, I think. Maybe, possibly. What is up, Game Galaxy on YouTube? How's it going? We're streaming on Twitch as well. But no, I catch your drift. How if I could ever find. There it is. Okay, now I can see Twitch chat. Pop out chat. Alrighty. Now I am looking at Twitch chat. I'm about to be looking at YouTube chat as well. Everything is so complicated. Pop out chat. There we go. Now I can see both chats side by side. All right. What is up, No Faith Healing? And King Carry and Ravixi. And Infrared. Or is that, that's going back into Carlos's stream.
Yep. But they might still be here.
They might still be here. We're waiting on 2 other folks to get here before we go live. We're going to be talking about Dragon's Dogma 2 and Alone in the Dark and the Judas stuff tonight. Lots of stuff.
We are going to have a conversation about Judas. And I am very excited about it.
All right, well, just be prepared, Chris Davis.
Be prepared to what?
I don't know. We're gonna see. No, you know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
What? Were you gonna see the dark side of Brad? Is that what you're saying?
We're gonna see the Brad that I keep bitching about that he keeps denying exists, which is, you should let your excitement for this game get away from you.
Well,
but whatever.
Too late.
But anyways, I haven't had a chance to really watch this. I was going to wait till a lot of the stuff drops tomorrow, so I was going to watch some of that while I'm at work tomorrow.
No, today was the embargo. This was supposed to be like it.
I thought like IGN's piece came out tomorrow.
If they're
Is
doing a
that
piece, I
wrong?
don't know about it.
Huh. Well, whatever. Either way, I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. I couldn't watch it today. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Um, Oklahoma storm chasing. 4PP blast from the past. I guess. Welcome back. We're still going. We're still
You're
going.
you're about to get pretty busy, I imagine, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Why? Because it's storm season.
Yeah, that's coming up pretty soon.
Doesn't Oklahoma storm season kind of mean also Texas storm season? Because we're like,
Well, the plains, yes.
yeah. Um. Any lurkers here? There's Nolan. We're live, Nolan. Be careful. Put your penis back in your pants.
And
It's all good.
pan the camera back up to your face.
We don't want to see that here. Or do we? What's up, Zach Crawford? Lurker confirmed. Sock knife, no lurker. Okay, we got some YouTube lurkers. That's nice. Y'all like video games? I know you're lurking.
No.
You don't
I
like to
love
talk
them.
much. Yeah, me too. They're pretty rad. Retro Love always lurking. That's good to know. So there are some people who watch. Are y'all only watching because we're streaming on YouTube now? Just curious. Also, oh look, a first time chatter, Miss Scarlet. Hello, Miss Scarlet in Twitch chat.
These are not showing up for me in Restream.
What? What's not showing up?
Oh, just
The
people you're calling out.
Oklahoma. Watched Brad's Autumn the Cuzzy GTA 4 way back in the
Your
day.
gain is super high.
Oh, it is?
True.
Okay.
I don't know. There's just a lot of
Fixed.
room noise when you talk.
How's it now? Testing 1, 2, test, test, test.
Much better.
Yep, a lot better.
Ludwig Nebula, thanks for the shout out there. Been catching up since you got back into coding at night. That's cool. Daniel, oh my god, look at all these people. These are like new names that I've never
Daniel.
heard, but they're apparently always here. So it's like maybe I shouldn't be this sad. There's lots of people here that I've never seen before. Miss Scarlet says first time chatter, but been a fan since Justin TV. That's awesome. Thank you, Miss Scarlet.
The first time, long time.
First time, long time. If any of you knew,
Do people
knew-
understand that reference?
uh,
Is that too old of a reference?
It is a little old, unfortunately.
I'm gonna be honest, Nolan. I only know it from you, so I don't even know. What's it originally from?
Back in the day, before this thing called the internets, and I mean honestly a little bit into it too, when people would not do podcasts, but instead they would do radio shows. People would call in to those radio shows, and oftentimes they were a first-time caller, long-time listener.
Okay,
First time, long time.
Yes.
I thought it was from something specific, but that's just something that people said on those kinds of productions back in the day. Is what you're saying?
No,
Okay,
the
got
people
it.
calling in would say it. Yeah, they would say first time, long time.
First time, long time. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Well, I'm so glad to see all these first time, long time folks in chat tonight. It's wonderful. If any of y'all are so inclined and you're not, we'd love to have you in our Discord. If not, we totally get it. Lurking is lurking, right? But it's still great to hear from you, even if it's just for a moment. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about tonight. When Brad gets here, we'll talk about. Brad did say I don't know if Haste is in chat, but Brad did say that he would probably. We'll probably spend our fantasy critic time, kind of just casually looking over some of the community league stuff. And
Because it's the end of the first 3 months.
first 3 months of the community leagues under our belts. It's pretty cool, pretty exciting. And then we'll talk about Dragon's Dogma 2. So Chris Davis, have you played Zero Dragon's Dogma 2, but instead have played a bunch of Alone in the Dark, or have you played both? Or
Just Alone in the Dark.
just Alone in the Dark? Okay.
I'm gonna wait until patches hit for Dragon's Dogma.
You know, my time with Dragon's Dogma on PC has not been particularly. I mean, it's no jankier than I was expecting, I was kind of expecting some jank.
It's not performance, more so like quality of life stuff.
Well, I'm enjoying my time with it so far, but we'll talk about that.
You are.
Yeah.
I know I'm still in the starting area, but I'm also like I'm like 10. I've spent like, it says 10 hours, but like the first hour and a half, almost 2 hours I spend in the character creator. So
I did spend a long time on my character and on my pawn.
I didn't spend any time on my pawn. Like I did all the work on my main character, then I was just like, oh god, this again.
If I can't finish
one that
my,
looks cool.
If I cannot finish my create a character in 10 minutes, then I've put in too much effort. Just I can't.
That's interesting. I mean, I've always been that way, but I've been saying that for so long because character creators always kind of sucked, and I feel like now character creators are getting so good, it's kind of hard to not do it. Like I spent a lot of time with Baldur's Gate 3. I spent a lot of time with Dragon's Dogma 2.
Baldur's Gate 3 had such a bad character creator, though.
You think that was a bad character creator?
Yeah, like you had very few options for the way you could look in.
Oh well, here's the thing: you're talking to someone who like, I get overwhelmed. It's like it had like just the right amount. Like, it had lots of options, but without getting into like the really nitty gritty stuff of like the brow level and like all like the little tiny nuances, which is what Dragon's Dogma 2 has, which is cool, I suppose. But you know, I was pretty happy spending 30 to 40 minutes.
The Rise of the Ronin one, you make two characters, right? And they're twins.
Mm-hmm.
And and so I'm like, I make my first character and I don't really change too much, right? And I thought it had to be a guy and a girl, but no, it could be, the twins can be both girls. And I made the first girl, and I'm like, all right, well, let's make the next girl. Let's see if I can customize her. And it was like the exact same looking character. And it's like, oh,
Like
well,
you
now
can
I
change
really
the
got
hair,
to
that's
change
about
some
it.
stuff where they're going to look literally exactly the same. And so I ended up just picking another
Brad saw the
preset.
second one and he was like, oh, fuck me.
Well, yeah.
Twins.
Well, I was like, well, I'll just pick another vaguely Asian. Well, not even vaguely Asian. I'll just pick another one of these Asian women.
Super
I guess.
Asian.
They'll just
Some
be like
kind of
fraternal
Asian.
twins. Well, I mean, it's a, it's like a period piece. Like you don't want to pick like a white guy. It's just.
I was making another joke, Brad.
Oh, so, but it was strange because I was like, well, I can slightly alter the exact twin, but then it's just going to look, too similar. It's going to be weird. Or I could just pick another like Asian looking person.
Make it look like one of them got punched in the nose.
I mean, you could kind of do that, or make one slightly taller. But they looked exact. It was like the exact same model. So I was like, oh, I'll just pick I don't know, maybe this lady's Chinese or something. I don't know. But now they don't look anything alike. They're just two Asian women that I guess are twins, but. It's weird.
What's the movie I'm thinking of? It's not the same thing. Like, because I know the twins, Basil. Like, that's Austin Powers, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the one I'm thinking of where it's like, where he's like, I got a date with twins, and he's like, you got twins lined up tonight, and he's like, no, or no, he's like, I've got plans tonight, twins. He's like, you got twins lined up? He's like, no, but that's the plan. Does that sound familiar to anybody?
That does sound familiar.
What is that from? It's something I've seen.
Though.
Maybe somebody in chat knows.
What did you say? You said Austin Powers. That sounds like an.
Well, no, the twins, Basil. That's no, it's not Zoolander. It's something I've seen recently. I think it's some. Oh fuck! It's Dexter. It's a fucking Masuka quote.
Oh, Masuka.
He's like, I got plans tonight. You got plans? Twins.
Oh, we
twins
saw
lined up?
him in something recently.
Avatar.
As like a very minor.
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty much what he does these days.
No, I mean it was like maybe I think it was an episode of The Rookie.
Yeah.
I think he was. Yeah.
It was such like a, this is like an extra role almost. So
I got,
barely.
I'm sitting right next to a picture of myself with Masuka. Right here to my left, so I can look at it longingly. So when I turn my head, that's what I'm doing.
Longingly, huh? See, like, people really like that guy.
Eh,
I'm sure someone
It's-
does.
Is there a big Masuka
I saw.
fandom?
No, I saw. Oh, I'm sure there probably is. No, when I went to that convention and to meet the Dexter cast, whatever, they all had like their own tables set up, whatever. And there was like everybody going up to the table to meet Masuka was like trying to ask him to do like weird shit, and he was like, eh. And I was like, oh god.
That's gotta suck to be an actor and play a really kind of pervy role, but then
And then people
you're
don't.
maybe necessarily
yeah.
not necessarily that person in real life. Yeah.
Yep, that's
he's
what was
exactly.
happening.
I mean, it's basically Larry David. I mean, he's exactly like that in real life.
I wouldn't go that far. Although I did like
Even
that.
if he was like that, people shouldn't be going up to him and asking him weird
Like
things.
they were trying to get pictures, like trying to get him to like take pictures, like touching their feet and stuff,
Oh.
like weird stuff. And I was in line. I was in like one of the other lines, and I'm like looking over, and like I have to, like all I can really do is like I guess I have to bear witness to this.
Very
it
wait.
was
You,
like,
you
yeah,
mean you were
grab
about
his
to
dick
bare
and
your
twist it.
I
feet?
was
You
about
were
to
about to-
bare my feet.
Like, will you touch
Yeah.
my feet?
That's pretty funny.
No, just no.
So Brad, you said you would feel comfortable going over some of the community league stuff, kind of off the cuff.
Comfortable? You mean like comfortable talking shit?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
He's pretty good at doing that.
Brad, you weren't here while we were talking a minute ago, but like, there's actually a lot of. I said I did the whole lurker call thing. There's a lot of people in chat, for a lot of first time, long time people in YouTube chat and Twitch chat tonight. Names that I've never seen before. So and a lot of
but
them-
see, that's always a little awkward when it's like green toast and you're like, "Oh, I've never seen you before."
no, like this is like
It's like,
retro love. What?
No, never mind. Continue.
Retro Love, Sock Knife, Oklahoma Storm Chasing, Ludwig Nebula, Miss Scarlet, Cybele. I feel like I haven't seen. Maybe I've seen Cybele before. Hello, Cybele.
I've seen all of these motherfuckers.
You
They're
have?
like my homies.
Cybele was definitely here last week at least.
I feel like I've seen Cybele before. But anyways, I'm just saying it's nice to see some names that I don't see very often in chat.
Hey, just get a worse memory, Nick. Then there'll always be new chatters.
My memory is always pretty bad, so maybe that's also helping contribute to this.
Never heard of Scarecrow? The fuck?
Yeah.
Weird.
Anywho, I guess we can pretty much.
Huh?
Yeah, dude, what the fuck? That was like the first thing I saw this morning. I mean, it's first thing a lot of people saw this morning, but god
The what?
damn. The bridge, the bridge in Baltimore.
Oh, I didn't. I don't.
Are you
follow,
Are you
news.
serious? Or are you? I
I'm
can't
not
tell.
joking.
Alright.
This is.
A
I don't
cargo
even know
ship
what
and a
the
bridge
what the,
in
what the
Baltimore.
situation is, so I
if-
definitely wouldn't
if-
be joking about it.
A
Yeah,
shipping
if
container
you know-
or a ship with shipping. What do you call it?
A
Cargo
container ship.
ship.
A cargo.
A
Thank you. A
container
cargo ship ran into a bridge, a major bridge. I don't remember the name of the bridge off the top of my head. A huge
Francis
bridge. in
something
Baltimore.
bridge.
Francis
Yeah.
Scotty.
Ran into the bridge this morning, and the whole bridge collapsed. And we're talking like this is like a mile long
Something like that,
bridge.
I believe they said it was called a continued trestle bridge. So like if you take out a support, it takes out the entire bridge.
Yeah.
Brad
It was-
Skater's
it
wife
was-
says he drove on it yesterday.
Holy shit!
Was
That's
this like
crazy.
during traffic or
It was
It
at
was
like
at
1:30
1:30 in the
So that
morning.
was yeah.
So
Oh.
thankfully,
They were able to get a
minimal.
mayday call out, so the police were able to stop traffic. So there was no actual traffic on the bridge, but there was a repair crew doing like pothole
Hey.
repair or something on it, and I think some of those people are still unaccounted for.
Yeah.
8 dead. Is it confirmed? 8 dead. Oh, god damn. It's rough. Yeah, apparently the ship lost power twice. so they
Yeah.
couldn't control the ship, and it was still traveling at like 8 or 9 knots or something. So
And when your ship's
uh,
1,000 feet long, it takes a while for it to slow down.
yeah,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, that's honestly been one of the biggest frustrations out of all of this is seeing just the fucking
conspiracy
chuckle fuck
shit.
idiots online being like, why didn't they just stop? Oh, it looks like they ran into it on purpose. And it's just like, dude, you just have like literally no concept of size or weight or inertia
Physics.
or physics. What a fucking idiot. Like,
I also saw a few people who were like trying to make it. They're like, this is this is the government's fault because like no bridge should be able to be taken out because of one support thing like that. And then like someone, like a bunch of people like responded to it, were like, hey, structural engineer here, that's false.
yeah.
I was like,
Also, like it was built in the 60s, and that was before one of the major disasters in Florida, which took out a similar bridge. So like it was serviced and it was found to be without any issues.
there were some things about it that was coming out this morning about like the ship apparently was flagged twice, like one as early as back in 2016 or something about the hull, and I don't know, but there was two things that were like kind of questionable about it, but I'm sure that kind of shit happens all the time. It didn't
Yeah.
they didn't necessarily take it out of service because of that kind of thing. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. That's the news, Brad.
I stopped paying attention to tragedy news, which is like all news.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Well, I mean,
very
it's-
frequently stop
it's
my
not like
wife
this
from
one
like
was on
telling me these
purpose.
stories.
Like,
No, I know.
yeah.
No, well, no, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like so much of the news is just sadness, and Malia will like, oh, did you hear this? And I'm like, no, and I really don't want to know, and you're probably still gonna tell me. And at the end of this,
So what we just did.
I'm just no, we're. I'm just also going to be sad with you. Like, she was telling me about the bus accident in town, and I was like,
Mhm.
you don't need to tell me. I'm a very cynical
unless it's
person,
quote
I
Nick got
assume the
hit by a
worst.
bus
Yeah.
or Nick
Knock
getting
on
hit by a
wood.
bus. What is that one called?
Knock on
Nick getting hit by
knock on wood,
bus.
people. Let's see who's that.
Nick
Blah,
Gets?
blah, blah, blah. Oklahoma storm chasing. You've been commenting where? That's my question. Commenting where? Uh, also, when did we start streaming on YouTube? This is what, our third or fourth week
Third or
doing
fourth,
it.
yeah.
It'll begin at the beginning of the
Um,
month.
we're still kind of in the trial phase to kind of see how it goes,
Stop it.
I suppose. What? Why are you saying
Anyway,
stop it? That is
So
what, in
going
fact, what
back
we're
to
doing.
going back to people being idiots, I just want to make one more comment that just like, how come they just don't fix all the bridges? And I just Googled it real quick. I don't quote me on how accurate this information is, but I'm getting somewhere between 500 and 600,000 like passenger bridges in the U.S. Sure, just quickly fix those real
Do a
quick.
quick once over.
No
That'll
problem.
probably be like $20 trillion.
That's all.
Honestly, you're probably pretty close to do any kind of repairs on them. So it's just, and also,
just
you can do them
repairs,
all in
like,
like an
just-
afternoon. Just
Yeah.
just throw some duct tape on it and you're good to go.
First time chatter or first time chat from Polar Knights says, as always, the show is the best perfect evolution of beard growth. I think he's saying he's been following us and he's been just seeing the
I'm pretty sure
progression
none
our
of us
beards.
really had facial hair when we started the show. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
back then all of us regularly shaved.
We all looked like Chris Davis does now.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing?
No,
Not necessarily. It's just seasons
There was
change,
not even
time
a
passes
tinge
by.
of judginess to that, Chris Davis. You immediately jumped to that. What the hell?
Yeah.
We didn't even.
Well, I
joke
mean,
that was a bad
it's
thing.
not my. Robin will be like, like sometimes I'll say like, man, sometimes I wonder what it'd be like to just completely shave my face again. She's like, if you want to do it, do it. And then there's like a pause, and she's like, but maybe wait till I'm out of town or something. I was like, there it is.
Like I
The
just
problem is if I do it, I'll look like an egg.
I tried to grow a beard years ago and it turned out terrible, so I was like, no, never again.
As long as
Yeah, but see, you don't have to grow a beard like to look nice. I have a beard because this is what happens when I don't shave, and it just is this. And it's only because I don't want to shave. Simple. You just
Fair.
have to
There
not
you go.
care what your beard looks like.
Problem
Works
solved.
for me.
All right, I'm about to mute myself for a second so I can do a sound test, and then I'll be ready
I've
to
already
go.
done that.
I should be good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and start the
I don't think anyone
recording.
I'm sure the birth of
Okay, I'm ready.
beards are handsome was like a guy thing, right?
Probably.
Gaslighting some woman into
Mhm.
believing that this is peak like handsomeness.
Just FYI, this is actually episode 788.
Mm-hmm.
You son
Chris
of a
Davis?
bitch.
I know.
The title on Twitch says 787.
People need to be
Shit.
comfortable. Our society needs to be more accepting of bad beards
Updated.
because some people are always just gonna have bad beards. People grow facial hair differently, and I don't think these people should be like myself should be pressured into having to shave because they can't grow like a
Yeah,
full nice.
I can't
thick
grow
beard.
like here and like here. It doesn't really grow in there for me at all, and like none right here at
can't-
all.
I can't grow on so much of my face, but you just gotta stop caring. Maybe it's an age thing. I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing, Brad. You should be ashamed of yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm not ashamed. I don't think
Kidding.
shame is
I'm
part of it.
fucking kidding.
I've moved away from shaving cream to shaving lotion. I like lotion a lot better than shaving cream. I feel that it glides a lot better. But that's also for shaving my head, not for shaving my face.
I'll keep that in mind.
Test.
All right. Are we ready to go?
I'm ready.
I'm hitting record. I am recording.
I mean, you know what I've
am
also
recording.
never had to do? Like worry about, like shaving my back or something. Some people with really nice beards
But
also have to deal with hair other
that
places.
is a good point. That is a good point, Brad. That my lack of like hair here also means that I have all of like 3 hairs on my back that are like even visible.
Yeah.
Sounds nice,
and so-
guys. Sounds nice.
Look at my leg hair. It's like barely even there.
Wanna
I
see
have
my-
hardly any leg hair.
You want to see my leg hair? No, you don't wanna see
Hardly
my
any
leg.
arm hair. I mean, it's nice.
I have a decent amount of hair on my like.
I've got a
arms
nice.
and
I've got a
legs.
nice thick coat.
Actually, I have
Nick
this
rubs his
weird
arms together
condition.
and he'll start a fire.
Right. I won't be able to show it because you can't zoom in that close. But out of all of my hair follicles on my arms, there's actually 2 hairs coming out of every follicle.
That's
I don't know why.
difficult.
It's weird.
That is
I'm
strange.
sure there's a condition somewhere online that you can
There's
find.
probably a
There's a
technical
name
term
for it. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do a community league update here in a second. So are we ready to go?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Brad, you recording?
Recording.
Blade, that is in fact false. I definitely need to use heaters in winter. Don't be fooled.
I
Anyways,
just bundle up.
oh, Oklahoma Storm Chaser is Taxter. I remember Taxter. See, I recognize Taxter. Oh, actually, hold on one second. Fuck, my
Do
fucking.
you?
Yeah, of course I do. Hold on, I need to turn my microphone down a little bit.
Yeah, but Texter, we've slept multiple times since then. Like, we're not gonna remember that.
Oh.
Don't ask me what happened last week, because I won't be able to tell you.
That's probably not true.
God damn it, Sky.
Uh-oh.
I
What?
would take details.
This fucking bitch.
What happened?
What?
No, just don't worry about it.
What? No, you can't do that.
Don't worry about it.
He can, and he did. We are good.
All right, I'm recording now. Okay. So roll call starts now. Brad Simons.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right, I'm gonna need you to keep going to 100. Just kidding. Nolan's here.
And sometimes it feels that way.
Hey, it's Nolan. We oughta baby eats a boy.
Perfect. Chris Davis.
This is Chris, and I'm doing a sound test for the mic.
Wonderful. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast, episode 788. It's March 26th, 2024. I'm your host, Nick Henderson, joined, as always, by Brad Simons.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Here we go again. Nolan Hedstrom
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
and Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
It is a good evening because you know what? Fucking Dragon's Dogma 2 is out. It's in the world. Most of us here have played it, and we're going to talk about it tonight.
It's kind of a bold claim to say it's a good evening based on that game. You don't have no idea how I feel about that game. Maybe it's a
I have a
bad
pretty-
evening.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I feel pretty safe in my assumption. Anyways, we're going to talk about Dragon's Dogma 2 tonight for what is, I'm sure, just the first time. But I'm very excited to talk about that. And Chris Davis, as the dissenter this week, he decided he was gonna say fuck Dragon's Dogma 2 and play the game everybody else really cares about and wants to hear about, and that's Alone in the Dark.
Still
So-
can't deal with this. Can't accept this.
I don't.
Does he play a lot of horror games? Can we talk about this right now? Does
Chris
he play
Davis,
a lot of? He
No,
plays
I mean,
Resident
here
Evil
we
and
go.
stuff, right?
he plays horror games, but then likes to brag about the fact that they don't do anything for him.
Yeah,
Which
no,
I
I,
think-
I am
that's
dead inside.
also part of this.
Yeah,
That's part of it.
But hey, you know, if he's finding some, if he's finding some value here, I am personally
I don't care about
curious. here.
value after the fact. I'm talking about his initial purchasing decision.
I mean,
Seems weird to me.
It
I
is a
got
weird
into
one.
this whole like Jodie Comer thing, and don't get me started down that road. Apparently, had no idea who that. What? No, I can't with this man. I cannot.
Okay, well, I'm not going to ask you to. We'll talk about Alone in the Dark a little bit later. But first, we're going to do something a little bit different this week because normally we like to kind of open talking about Fantasy Critic stuff and how it's affecting our own personal league that we have going. But considering we're coming up on the end of March, we're 3 months into our first ever community fantasy league, and Brad said he was comfortable talking some trash about the community and their leagues and how they're doing.
Yeah, I mean always.
So I'm
Always
just gonna-
very comfy for me.
yeah.
Talking shit.
It's funny. We had people in the Discord who were like, "Are you gonna talk about the community leagues tonight?" I was like, "Yeah, we're going to talk about it, quote unquote."
Mhm.
Really, I'm just giving Brad license to just
You know
talk mad
what's
shit.
made it so easy, Nick, is a full year of the community talking shit about our first year's league, and the
Yep.
choices that we were making,
And now you
and
get
then
to
all of a sudden,
flip the
the
script.
ball's in their court and they got to make some of these decisions or just, draft the ones you can because you don't always get the ones you want.
That is
get what you
true.
need.
So, I guess, Brad,
Yeah.
just fucking go. Take it away. I don't know how you wanna do
like
this.
we're
Go.
literally getting right
Let's
into
do
that.
it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, should we start with like kind of a catch up on ours for the week?
Yeah, I mean,
There's some action. Games came out. Games got reviews.
You're not
There's been a
wrong.
new pickup.
yeah, there has been a new pickup,
Oh,
and
really?
it's Brad. I mean,
Oh, we're not gonna
part
talk
of
about
me
the
is-
game that came
speaking
out
of
last
talking
week?
Shit, Nick was talking shit.
I was talking shit.
Fucking Redfall Forspoken 2023. Nick all of a sudden, is talking shit about 2024.
I'm not Okay, first of all, to be fair, I wasn't talking shit. I was just kind of surprised
Oh, okay. Yeah.
that. So there was the pickup this week was for the unannounced Astrobot game,
No, it was
And-
for the rumored Astrobot game.
the rumored unannounced Astrobot game.
Yeah. I got it for
and
a buck because, who's going to take that?
I've thought about bidding on that several times, but then I
I
decided
didn't even know it was on there.
I'm trying to be relatively risk averse this
There's
year.
a
as
lot of
opposed to last
rumored
year.
stuff on there.
Mhm.
Even stuff that's like, it's probably coming. Sometimes that's on there, right? But this is I've seen Jeff Grubb mention it quite a few times, and he's not always gonna be accurate. But the very good point that the PlayStation 5 Pro is coming out this year as well. So the fact that like the last few times that Sony's put out new hardware, there has been an Astrobot something, and that studio has not put out a game in a while. They shuttered Japan studio, and Sony did, and the only like surviving team and the people kind of were moved over to that team was the Astrobot team. So if this thing exists, the time is right. I feel like by the end of the year. So whatever, got it for a buck. I don't know. Maybe it'll be. I mean, honestly, I was just kind of excited about Japan studio thinking about Puppeteer, and what got me thinking about it was that fucking Princess Peach game knockoff, which also came out, which is just a cheap
Right,
Puppeteer
right.
knockoff. That was a crispy draft, and he and ended up not doing great.
Sitting at a 75.
76,
It's down to
75
75, yeah.
on Open Critic. Also, Ed's Rise of the Ronin, also sitting at a 76.
Which you're
Not
playing,
great.
apparently, right? Is it? That's what you kind of alluded to,
yeah,
right?
I have it. I started it. Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it tonight, though. Maybe next week.
No, just because I'm not very far or anything, but probably next week. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. By the way,
I mean,
I
that's pretty much it for this week.
I was just talking shit because I thought it was when I found out it was that Brad was the one who did Astrobot, and I was like, he just realizes he fucked up with Super Mario, the unannounced Super Mario 3D game, and now he's just like, fuck it, just might as well double down on the unannounced risk games.
Well,
fall down the hole.
I mean, I don't
with
think
me.
the Mario thing was a fuck up. Now that there's talk of a delay,
Fuck up's maybe not the right word.
it is going to be a problem, I guess. But I mean, I
how
can
about
still
this?
drop it.
The Super Mario misfortune.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a better way of
It's
putting it.
unfortunate. That was definitely like a, I mean, it was a 4th round pick for me, but it was still one that like I was gonna be like, they're gonna underestimate it. But underestimate this. But if it comes out, it's probably gonna do well. Whatever,
Oh yeah. By the way, this is not really a huge update, but the game that I drafted a few weeks ago, Indica, got a release date of May 8th, so that's coming pretty soon. Very excited for that.
I mean, that's not.
But anyways,
You look at the
Community
list
leagues.
of upcoming releases, it's kind of depressing, at least for our league, because you see April and it goes all the way to September for 12 games.
Well, a lot of the stuff after the first quarter is not going to have dates yet. I mean,
it'll fill in.
Yeah.
It'll fill in.
yeah, it'll fill in.
The fact that it goes out that far is what gets to me.
The only game on my list with a date is World of Goo 2. Everything else is just hope and a prayer.
When is World of Goo 2 coming out? Do we know?
I don't know. Next few months.
Yeah, soonish. Yeah.
According to this, May 23rd.
Yeah, and just to clarify,
just wanna play it.
because Zero Skies was calling into question your depressing comment. It just means depressing in terms of Fantasy Critic. Like we're going to go a long period of time when we may not have a lot of updates for our Fantasy Critic. That doesn't mean games aren't coming out or that we're not playing them or we're not going to have anything to talk about. It's just we're not going to have a lot to say about Fantasy Critic during that interim, but it'll fill in. Anyways, community leagues, Brad. What's up with the community?
All right, we got Community League number 1, a miserable pile of gamers. So how should we do this? I mean, can I just say who I think is maybe like the front runner and who's probably riding the struggle bus? I mean, what do you think?
Sure, all
right. So I'll list off the games on who I think is the front runner or the couple of front runners, and y'all can all throw in y'all's opinions as well. But
okay.
First league, we got Bogart Bear, Zanny, Villasaurus Rex, Brucey the Wizard, and Prince of the Universe, aka Metroidvania Mania, who swore at the beginning of the year to only bid/draft on Metroidvanias. Not going well in terms of projected points, but we all know projected points.
I thought you were going to say he's not going well, like he's already fallen off the boat and he's not doing that anymore. Or is that really? Is he still like? Is he keeping his word on that?
No, he's sticking to it. For sure. This is, a competitive league, I think, and not a lot of stuff out. I think, man, some of these leagues, it's crazy how far they got into the leagues without someone drafting a certain game, or even like sometimes I'll see a bid on a league going, wait a minute, no one picked that up during the draft. You're just now bidding on that. Holy shit. But this one honestly is pretty close. I think if any of them on the list are a little dicey, it might be Prince of the Universe because he's so committed to his Metroidvania list. And, when Metroidvanias are typically indie games, and indie games typically review a little soft. He did get Prince of Persia, which reviewed really well. But again, that one's not your traditional indie game. He also got Heartforth Alicia on his list.
Oh my God, that's the game I kickstarted back in the day that I keep forgetting exists.
That game existed like for 10 years before.
Wait a second. That's not a Metroidvania. It's supposed to be like
it is.
Is it?
Yeah, Heartforth Alicia is a.
Which is funny because like when
that's never coming out.
When I kickstarted that game, if you would ask me what genre it is, I never would have described it as a Metroidvania. But that was like I was living with Nolan when I kickstarted that game.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's not coming out this year.
this is a tough one. I think it's close. Honestly, it's hard to say. I'm just glad Zanny also uh, picked up via a bid the rumored new Astrobot platformer. Feel a little good about
Mm.
that. But it's the kind of thing where early on, right? Somebody got Tekken, somebody got Yakuza, somebody got Rebirth. Like those
We're all gonna
first
have
round picks
those,
all
right?
hit really well. Dragon's Dogma. Right now, the most points is Bogart Bear because he got Dragon's Dogma, Persona, Unicorn Overlord, which all have big points out so far. And he does have that unannounced Mario game on his list that's probably going to be a drop, but no one counterpicked it. No one was brave enough. But everyone's looking good. The counterpicks look good. This is one of the closer leagues, I think. Some of these other
Okay.
leagues, we'll get to the next one.
Some
Are
of these other leagues are full of
a little more
clowns.
dicey. Prince's counter. Can I say I'm looking at Prince of the Universe's list. His counter picks were also the Plucky Squire and Animal Well, and both those are like some of the most like promising looking indies coming this year.
Hmm.
I don't know about that, Prince. So yeah, but everybody else,
I feel like
solid.
there's going to be a
honestly.
lot of super drops between all of our things that are going to be used on counter picks this
Yeah.
year. I can already tell.
All right, league number 2. This is the difficult 6 because they have a 6th person. We got Ravixi, Ichi's Kid, Aptum, Drunken Merchant, Skate for Life, and Halcyon 9. This is interesting. A lot of action here as well. Some of these are like pretty damn full, crazy. We got first pick of this league was Silk Song. Awesome.
I don't believe it.
This one, Ichi's is looking really good. I got to be honest with you. He did pick up Balatro. He's the one other person who got Balatro between Nolan and the other leagues. He got his for $1 though. It's fine.
Brad's still better.
Hey, I only outbid mine by a couple dollars.
But he's also got Silk Song. He's going to be waiting a little bit, but he's got some strong indies. I feel like everybody picked up Pacific Drive, and it underperformed a little bit according to people's expectations. But
it did. It did.
Yeah,
I think that game still has a real shot at being in my top 10. I think
Rise of
more
the
people
Ronin-
need to be playing it.
Rise of the Ronin was also one that was kind of picked across the board, and Peach as well, and a lot of people got hurt this week, I think, because of those games. Honestly, they both reviewed pretty soft. Drunken Merchants got Metroid Prime 4 on his list. I don't know about that, but some strong indies. He got Rebirth. Obviously, Rebirth's the big winner so far. Aptum looks strong, but he drafted Hades 2. Hades 2 is going to be a goose egg. That's the thing. There's not coming out of early access this year.
Yeah, that's going to enter early access. That's going to be another one, kind of like Chris Davis's. What's the thing? Remind me, the
No
new
Rest for the
Ori,
Wicked.
No Rest for the Wicked, which looks amazing. Looks amazing. I think it would be a very strong pick any other year, but I don't see it coming out of early access before the end of the year. I think Hades is going to be kind of the same thing.
If I knew it was entering early access, that it was going to be an early access game, then I wouldn't have picked it.
I get it. I would have been all over that too if
Halcyon, I feel like, is one of the few people who actually managed to snag Helldivers before that came out and became a little phenomenon, which is nice. But honestly, I'm looking at this, and maybe I'm a little biased because this is similar to some of my picks. But if some of these come through, I think Brad's Skate for Life. It's got some strong picks.
Double biased.
He's got Flight Simulator, which we know is going to score well. Paper Mario, I'm sure is going to score well, right? Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door, which is below.
Yeah.
You got Prince of Persia, which was an early win. But then, he's got prestige indies. And again, they all have to come out. But he's got Plucky Squire, Earthblade, Mina the Hollower, and World of Goo 2. Plus his counterpicks are Metroid Prime 4 and Avowed. And I feel like those are pretty good counterpicks, honestly.
Wait, sorry, who is this again? That's Brad Skate for Life.
This is Skate for Life.
Yeah, I think Skate for Life's got it.
I think this is another pretty close league. Ravixi's got some big points on the board already with Yakuza and Unicorn Overlord, but he also got kind of like a small L with Rise of the Ronin and Mario vs. Donkey Kong. All in all, pretty good, decent competitive league. Everyone's looking pretty strong here. Now, let's get to no, I'm just kidding. League number 3. This is L3. Or no, this is League X, Ligapo 3. I don't know how to say this. This one's Sonji. Zero Skies, Skylar, Haste, and Scud. Some strong picks. Haste made some bold choices early on, including an unannounced new Forza Horizon game. I don't know if that one's going to pan out.
I don't know.
Also, he also picked up Hades too, which could end up being a goose egg, but he got points on the board with Tekken, which is nice. He also counterpicked Silk Song. Bye, Nick. He counterpicked Silk Song, which is dicey, because I think that game's coming out. I don't know about y'all. That's gonna be a big points loss. Poor Haste. I don't know. I mean, I have to say, fuck this guy, because not only did he counterpick Silk Song, which is my number one pick, which, come on. He also counterpicked Ayuden Chronicle, and I kind of want anyone who counterpicks Ayuden Chronicle to like eat a big one, because fuck you. We want that game to be good. Stop it.
We do.
We do.
Yeah, we do. Of course we do. It's the spiritual successor this week, and the creator just passed away. Who wants ill will on Ayuden Chronicle?
Only assholes. That's what I say.
Yeah. Scud, the only one I think on Scud's list that's a little iffy is Hyperlight Breaker, because I think that's launching in early access, and I don't think that's probably going to come out.
I think also, that's going to be another early access one. Yeah.
He drafted Neva, which is the. Do you remember that game? Grease.
It looks like one of those artsy indie games that's probably going to be pretty cool, but not score very strong. Like it's going to be.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, I think it has potential. We just don't know what it is. They only showed like a cinematic trailer.
I at some point I looked up Grease to see how it scored from before, and I can't remember what it was, but I don't remember being particularly.
It wasn't like it didn't set the world on fire, but it from what I understand, that is a well liked game outside of critical reviews. Like I still see people occasionally talking about that. Resonated with some people.
For sure.
Sanji's a little dicey here, mostly because Arc Raiders is that coming out, and is that going to be out of early access?
I don't know what that is.
Once Human, I don't even know what that is. Sovereign Syndicate came out earlier this year, reviewed kind of soft, but he's got big points on the board with Dragon's Dogma 2, Helldivers 2, Unicorn Overlord. He's doing good, but his counter picks are Plucky Squire, which is I don't know about that. That game looks really cool. He also counterpicked Hellblade 2, which I don't know what he was thinking there, but something tells me that's almost like review. I mean, like it's a sequel to a game that's well liked and well reviewed.
And I don't think it's probably not going to perform worse than the first one.
Yeah, it's probably only going to perform better than that game. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what the reasoning is there, but we'll see.
But again, we have to remind everybody the counter picks this year were tough, like really tough.
I think Skylar's in good shape, with the exception of the unannounced 3D Mario platformer, which was his number one pick, Bold, because we think that's probably not coming out.
Last week of June, baby. Last week of June is going to be nothing but counter super drops. Just everybody super dropping shit across the board.
Yeah. He got Persona. He got Yakuza. He got Pacific Drive, Plucky Squire, Ayuden Chronicles. He's got some strong stuff. Satisfactory, which was some pickup that I got, which is most certainly will score well. But the thing is, his counter picks are good. He counterpicked Hades 2, which is probably going to be a 0 points. And he counterpicked Rise of the Ronin, which he only lost 6 points on, which is good. A lot of people I think are gonna burn their super drop on counter picks, and he's looking like he's gonna be -6 for the year on counter picks without having to spend the money, which is huge, right?
Wow. Yeah.
This is absurd. Okay, Zero Skies is done with his list. I'm gonna read this off.
What?
Because it's a good one too. It's a good list. There's one rough mistake on here, but I think Zero Skies.
This is an idiot.
He was last in his draft, and he got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. Then he got Flight Simulator, Mina the Hollower, Rise of the Ronin, which reviewed saw, Hellblade 2, Metaphor ReFantazio, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which reviewed pretty well. No Rest for the Wicked's a little bit of an L because I don't think that's coming out of early access. Then he got Stellar Blade and Rise of the Golden Idol, which is like his lineup is done and it's strong. And if he has to super drop No Rest for the Wicked, that's fine because his counter picks were Arc Raiders and Homeworld 3, which I think are either not coming out not going to be 1.0 or not going to be good.
Mhm.
Homeworld 3 impressions have been dicey.
Not great. I mean, our very own Ed decided to drop it. So
I think he's in really good shape. But let's move on to the final league.
final league.
We have the Gamer Hot Tub League. Awkward Gamer Hot Tub League, sorry.
Awkward gamer hunt.
All right, this one's Shakirsky. Oh no, this is the Green Toast League. Mr. Green Toast, Slop Dog, Tack, $2 $4, and Shakirsky. Shakirsky, talking on Matt, Shakirsky thinks he's got this shit in the bag. Y'all be the judge. I mean, he's definitely got the most projected points with 129.2 projected points versus Mr. Green Toast's 20.47 projected points for the year.
Wait. In the 20s? Wait.
Again, projected
What?
points don't mean shit, but let's look at the numbers. Shakirsky thinks he's got this in the bag, but I've seen confident people about projected points before. It really doesn't mean shit until everything is out. Truly. But anyways.
You gonna give us that list?
Yeah, okay. We'll do Shakirsky first because he thinks he's got this. And y'all tell me. I think he has got a couple of competitors. Y'all tell me. His list is pretty impressive. He's got Persona 3, which is out, Flight Simulator, Tekken 8, which is out, big points, Black Myth, Hellblade 2, Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater, Sandland, Indiana Jones, Unicorn Overlord, which is a late bid, also 18 points, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, and here's the
Wait,
kicker.
is that Deep Rock Galactic Survivor like a full game? Or is that an expansion?
It's a separate
No.
game.
No, that's
missed-
a Vampire Survivor game in that universe.
Oh,
But
fuck.
it launched
Really?
it's an early access launch. I don't think it's going to be 1.0. And this is where Shakirsky might be in trouble. But here's the real reason that he's confident. And I think maybe he should be confident. He counterpicked Suicide Squad.
Ooh.
So he earned 10 points right now on a counterpick.
Damn, is
He
it down to
also
60?
Yeah. He also counterpicked World of Goo 2. So fuck you. You're going to lose points on that. But we'll
He's
see.
gonna
He
just
can drop that.
he's gonna counter. He's at least going to counter out cancel out the 10 points.
So
that he
we'll see.
got
He's
on
confident.
Suicide
I could
Squad.
see Metal Gear Solid maybe not shipping this year. Truth be told. And Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, I could see not hitting 1.0 this year. So it's not a done deal. Here's who I think is still in the running. $2 $4. It's got Rebirth, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Silk Song, Princess Peach. See, the thing is, $2 was feeling good, but he had both Rise of the Ronin and Princess Peach Showtime on his list, which both came out this week.
Double
both
whammy.
only 6 points each.
Mhm.
Double whammy. But
Ugh.
he still has Metaphor. He got Brothers A Tale of Two Sons, which got him 11 points. He got Earthblade, right? He's got 3 more slots. It's still a strong lineup, Like last year, I won with 270s on the board, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't need wins across the board to win the league. The thing is, his counter picks are the Killer Clowns from Outer Space game, which I think is a great counter pick, and Skate Story, which is an indie game that with a cool look, but I could see it easily like reviewing soft, right? So I think he's definitely still in the running because again, Shakirsky might have some big L's coming down the line. Slop Dog also I think is in good shape. He's got Yakuza, which is out, Plucky Squire, Paper Mario, Mina the Hollower, World of Goo 2, Rise of the Golden Idol, Rift of the Necrodancer, and Animal Well. He's got like all the prestige indies on his list, which is impressive. The problem is he also counterpicked Hellblade 2. I don't know what people's reasoning was there.
I
but
think
he
people are misinformed about Hellblade.
The thing is, he could super drop the Hellblade 2 counterpick, and I think he probably even plans to. He also counterpicked the Altars, which looks pretty cool. So we'll see. But he's definitely still in the running. Like these games aren't going to be out for a while, and I think that's why like projected points are lower for stuff like this.
Which one is the Altars?
That is from the creators of. They showed a trailer for it at the last
Game Awards, right?
Remember that movie Moon with Sam Rockwell?
Oh yes. Yeah. Okay.
It's like
yeah, that does.
And
Look
it's from the
fucking-
creators of
It's 11-bit studios.
Yeah.
11-bit
It's-
studios. Frostpunk, but specifically this War of Mine, I think team.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It does look rad as hell. Yeah.
All right, now,
Dude,
we
I had
gotta
this-
do Green Toast real quick.
I had this moment last week where for a split second, I thought, "Holy shit! Nobody in our team has picked up Frostpunk 2," and I was like, "Wait a second,
Yeah,
no
they
one had
did.
to have no one had to have gotten this. And I looked at it, and it was like your second or third.
That was on
pick
my
or something
short
like
list too. I would have. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like gonna
that.
scoop that right
I
up
got like
if you did.
super excited for a second. I was like, oh shit, I need to sneak in here and get this.
Oh, you
No.
It was a really dumb moment. I feel stupid.
Tack. You know, I don't know. He drafted Hades 2 as well, but he's got Dragon's Dogma. He's got Stalker 2. I don't know if that's coming, but he's got Frostpunk 2. Ooh, he's got
How about
Passive
Green
Exile. I
Toast's
don't think that's
list?
gonna hit 1.0. Okay, yeah, I don't know about Tack. He also counterpicked Flight Simulator, which when when you're trying to counterpick something, it's either something that you feel like is not going to come out, not going to review that well, or both. Not like
Yeah.
for sure. The year is in the title. Also, it's Flight Simulator. The last one was like a 92. It's not gonna like review poorly. I don't know the reasoning there, but all right, Green Toast. All right, Green Toast. We have to talk. Number one pick was the indie game Skate Story, and he went second. Green
What?
Toast.
I love you, Green Toast. I love you. This is just it's funny.
By the way, he's got 5 counter picks.
Did
Like
he
five of his games are counterpicked.
Oh,
His second pick was The Altars.
Wow.
His third pick was Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden. 3rd round pick.
Was he? Did he get the wrong memo? Was this supposed? Did he think we were doing the opposite? Like we were going for the lowest?
Okay, Nick.
I'm sorry.
That was a little too mean.
I'm
No.
sorry. I'm sorry.
4th
I
pick
love
was
you, Green
Killer
Toast.
Clowns from Outer Space, which is bold. Killer Clowns, 4th round
Yeah.
pick. Then Suicide Squad.
Oh,
Now he's trying to rally a little bit. He's got Star Wars Outlaws, Pacific Drive, and Pepper Grinder, which I think is the only league that has Pepper Grinder. That game
I think
comes
so.
out
Yeah.
this week, so it's going to be too late for anybody else. But Pepper Grinder looks cool. I played the demo; was pretty cool. Also, he counterpicked Frostpunk 2. I mean, again, I don't.
Here's the
Green
thing. Here's the thing. It's pretty clear.
Going down with
that
the
Green
ship.
Toast. Green Toast is the underdog of the entire
Is that
community
the
league. It's
word?
like,
Is that
yeah. I mean, he's
the big dummy dum dum.
nope.
Sorry, we didn't tell y'all ahead of time, but we have an award called the Big Dummy Dum Dum Award, and you have to accept it if you have the lowest score. We're
Oh,
sorry.
it's
man.
thrust
Nah,
upon you.
he's-
You don't accept it.
He'll be okay. Look, let's look at it this way. If he ends up not having the lowest score, like that should be a dub, right? He's fighting for not last place. That'd be cool. I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of how I felt myself last year, so I get it. But like, some of these picks are questionable.
You felt that way last year. Shut up, Nick.
I did feel that way
Look,
for a bit.
okay. Look,
I got
Redfall
Redfall last year.
sucked, but like you weren't like it wasn't a big tragedy. What place were you last year, Nick?
I think 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck
Anyways,
me, right?
that's it for the community leagues. I thought I was gonna be talking way more trash than I was, but like there's some pretty solid rosters out there, honestly.
So
Um,
let's just plan on checking back again. If you want to, first of all, I will say this: if you want to check in with any of these leagues, there's links. If you go to the welcome channel in our Discord, I have links to all the Discord or all of the community leagues there, so you can follow along. And also, if this sounds fun, maybe consider playing along next year. It's been cool. We'll check back in with the community
it's
league
free.
maybe
We
in
can do as
like
many
3.
as leagues as
Right.
we like.
I think the more
That's right.
leagues the more teams we have set up though, I think the fewer slots we have to do, right? Because you only have at some point you only have so many. Well, I guess maybe not. Maybe you could.
Well, I mean,
It just means
you
you're going to
chop
be
it
really
up however you
scraping.
want. I mean, truth be told, there's nothing stopping any. I don't think there's anything stopping you on the website from just starting up a league right now for people who just want to jump in late. You know, you just can't draft games that are already out. I mean, really.
That is true. That is true. But if you want to participate in like an official capacity where we kind of like go over the stuff on the podcast and stuff, consider playing next year. It should be fun. It's been fun so far this year. So thanks to everybody who's playing along. And with that said, let's go ahead and get to it. I don't know how y'all want to break up the discussions tonight. We have Dragon's Dogma 2. We have Alone in the Dark. I do want to talk a little bit about this Judas thing. I'm going to let Chris Davis kind of lead us through that because he's been paying way more attention than I have. But I don't know how we want to do this. Where do we want to go first here? Any
Dragon's
opinions?
Dogma, come on, Nick, cut the crap.
All right, fuck it, let's do it. Dragon's Dogma 2. Let's go.
Yeah,
Where do we go?
Alone in the Dark. No, come on, man. I've been waiting 12 years for this shit.
Yes, that is
We
factual. That is factual. I also want to apologize. I mean, so I got like 30 minutes of footage here. I don't know how far along y'all are. I'm
I'm
going to
just
Hard to
assume
another way
quantify. Not really.
I mean,
I'm a-
it's one of those things where we're potentially going to see some stuff, but in reality, some clips I saw
no.
online. Well,
My point is you're not going to, because I'm
well,
only
that's fine
about.
too.
I'm not even at the Capitol, so like I
Oh,
am.
okay.
Whoa.
But I'm also like closing in on 10 hours. So.
Oh
uh,
no.
What have you been doing? Did you get lost?
yeah. What the fuck?
Okay, a couple things. I spent about an hour and a half to 2 hours of that in the character creator. 3, I have been pretty much just exploring the wilderness because I'm having so much fun with it doing that I'm just not really caring how long it's taking me to traverse. It's funny when you think about the original Dragon's Dogma, you kind of have that same setup, right? Where you're like traveling. You even have like the ox cart thing, right? You're like, okay, let's go to the capital, right? And that journey to the capital in the original game is like super short. This
Yep.
game, I think I'm about to enter the capital. Like I'm right on the outskirts now. But like this game, I've just been running around this world on foot with my pawns. Uh, like I said, coming on 7 or 8 hours now, and I'm having fun, so I'm not really worried about it. But in this footage, just 30 minutes of footage, I don't ever like fight any like giant monsters, so I do apologize for that. But it is a blasty blast. But that's just kind of where I am. Where are y'all in this experience so far?
I'm in Batal. I'm in like that second desert part of the country, continent, whatever. That's sort of like a new biome for Dragon's Dogma, I suppose. Um, as far as like how many hours, I don't know. A lot. You know, like the first game, this game is very addictive. Like it's very easy to lose time playing this game. Just because
Decent
not only
point.
because everything kind of takes a long time to do in this game. You go on these journeys, right? But it's just very addictive, right? You know,
I think
leveling
this
up
is
locations and
yeah.
doing
I
weird
was when
shit.
I was streaming this last night because we had this conversation last week about organic exploration in games and whatnot. I don't even remember what that was in reference to. We were talking about Rise of the Ronin or something. I don't remember, but
Can,
um, this
can I
feels very organic.
can I set up that conversation because it's definitely about the world design and exploration because
Sure.
I've been thinking a lot about this. So the original Dragon's Dogma came out 12 years ago, and it in like you know the real ones they know, right? The ones who played it
Mhm.
that we know, but like critical reception wasn't great, right? This game lead platform 360 scored a 75 on Metacritic, right?
Right.
Also, game didn't sell like off the charts, at least not right away. You know, it eventually came to PC and did pretty well there. It took a long time to get to its like, you know, lifetime to date numbers, right? So out of the gate, this was already sort of like a underdog. And it was a 75 on Metacritic. And 12 years later, it's remarkable how similar this game is in terms of like the strengths of Dragon's Dogma are the strengths of Dragon's Dogma 2, and like honestly like the flaws and the jankiness of Dragon's Dogma 1 are still in a lot of ways present here. It is remarkable that I don't think Dragon's Dogma changed. I think we changed. And
That's a fair
12 years
assessment.
later, Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out and it's at 89 on Metacritic. And it's because, you know, so much has changed. We've changed, right? Souls went mainstream, right? Like the rejection of like the Assassin's Creed, the Ubisoft checklist open world has happened. You know, 12 years ago, people were eating that shit up, right? You know, like Assassin's Creed games were some of like the best games out there now, or like Far Cry, right? And now people are just like sick of them. They don't want that. They long for less icons on a map, right? So
Yeah.
it's crazy that like Itsuno, like his philosophy has not changed. We just are more, and when I say we, I mean the mainstream is more in line with it, in lockstep with his beliefs on how a world and how you know it's the journey, not the destination, maybe if you will, matters so much more. Like I think the people were ready, if you will. You
Sure, I
know
think
what
it's
I
a fair
mean?
assessment. I also think it's kind of to me it was unexpected when I booted this game up and when you get to the title screen, it just says Dragon's Dogma. It doesn't say Dragon's Dogma
Well,
2. Or does
yeah,
that happen?
but
Does
I mean
that
that
like change at some point in the game or
uh it's
maybe it does.
dicey
Maybe
territory story. I mean, look, you know, like how Final Fantasy 7 rebirth is rebirth in
okay.
quotes,
It just
maybe. You know, it's
so far with the time that I've spent in it,
remake.
it almost feels like hey, we couldn't really fully realize this and back in the day, and it almost, at least where I'm at, it feels kind of like a do-over in the sense that like we're going to use the same ideas, the same concepts, the same mechanics, but we're going to just fully realize them.
Can I
And
ask you about that?
yeah,
Because and again, I know you're not far, but I know Nolan's played more, and I've played a lot as well, and I know people in the community have been playing a ton. Very active Discord
yes.
channel. A lot of people have been saying that, and I believe that, but it definitely it was something I had to think about at first because because they're saying, well, this is the game we always wanted to make. Now we can finally make it. But in a lot of ways, this does feel like that game again. But
Yeah, no,
like
it does.
what is this game accomplishing that that first game didn't? Or like why is this the successful version of Dragon's Dogma 1? You know, I guess is my
Well,
question.
I think a lot of it has to do with technology. I think everything just kind of feels more impressive and organic in this game, and in ways that I just don't think were necessarily possible on that hardware back in the day. The thing that I keep coming back to, and I know, hindsight is 2020, right? But like when we were talking about Dragon's Dogma 1 back in the day, I remember it very vividly, y'all having conversations, because I didn't play Dragon's Dogma until much later when we did it for the Revival Club, right? So y'all were talking about Dragon's Dogma back in the day, and I always remember the story about being playing at night and getting cornered by wolves and like trying to like hunker around,
Yeah.
like around the
Mhm.
fire or the torch, and you could see them like circling you, right? And then I come back and I play it years later, and I'm like no matter what I do to kind of like the settings on this game, and I was playing on console, I think, or maybe no, I was playing on PC. I don't know, but like I
Sure.
could never quite recreate that experience because no matter how dark I tried to make the game seem, it never, the contrast was always just a little too much.
Okay.
So I could no,
You were
but then
playing it a decade later though.
no, no,
Like
you're right.
back
That's what I'm
then,
saying.
night
You're
was
right,
intimidating, right?
right,
You couldn't see shit.
right. But I'm saying is, even when I came back and played it later, I didn't really get to have that experience, which is why maybe Dragon's Dogma 1 it never really felt like the huge dub to me as it did to y'all, even though I really, really wanted that. This game is giving me those moments that y'all talked about and raved about back in the day. And I
Yeah,
think
I
it,
know,
a
And
lot
I,
has
but
to do
I
with
would
again,
tech.
your
also,
perspective is unique. I'm more like the
Sure.
perspective of someone who played it back then. What is this accomplishing that that didn't?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think a lot of it is just it's flashier. I think maybe it feels better just to kind of like control the character. The world feels a little bit more interactive. I don't know. I think it's like little things that kind of add up to a lot. Because it does feel like, for the most part, it does feel like that first game, for sure.
It does, and I do have answers to my own question. I was just curious what y'all thought because it is a take I've been hearing all over the place. Like this is the game that they've wanted to make, and now they finally made it. But in a lot of ways, it's still like it's weirdly, it looks nicer because it's 12 years later, and like the hardware's a lot nicer, and the
Different
engine's good,
engine.
right? But like like presentation wise, it's still like very weirdly, we just got through, or we've just been playing Rebirth and Yakuza and stuff, and like cutscenes in that game are like mind blowing. Like oh, like there's like a lot of money in here, and there's like a cinematic eye. But in this game, there's like barely any cinematic qualities to like conversations. It's just like two people kind of like awkwardly like saying medieval
Yeah,
lines at each other. It's very much, which is very Dragon's Dogma 1 energy.
it's true.
Um, so like even
Um,
though like the lighting and stuff is a lot nicer and the textures are a lot nicer, at the same time it still has this like B quality to it, of like a B, like a B game quality to it, even though it's clearly a big fancy production, right?
BK.
It's weird. It's a weird product.
So I definitely have thoughts.
Yeah.
give us those
To Nick's
thoughts.
point from earlier, yes, I do feel like it was a product of the time. When Brad and I were playing this in 2012 or 2013,
I think it was
when did this
12.
come out?
One
When
of
Brad and
those
I were
years.
playing this in
12, I think.
2012, yeah, obviously there's a bit of nostalgia there. It was definitely unique for its time. Nick, when you kind of played it in the revival, obviously other games had taken inspiration from it and made use of advances in technology to do a little bit better in their game. So obviously you had played, maybe I don't want to say a better version, but they had taken some inspiration, done some good
It
stuff.
didn't have the oomph that maybe it had when people were seeing this shit for the first time.
That's definitely a factor for sure. But first off, one thing, the title screen you had mentioned, yes, it doesn't say Dragon's Dogma 2, it just says Dragon's Dogma. But also, it does not have Into Free playing in the background, which
Boo.
is
Yeah.
very sad.
Boo.
And I can't wait for a mod to come out on PC to add it if there's not one already.
Is that a
But
song? Am I?
that's the
Okay,
title
Nick.
song.
Oh, Nick would know because he
Dangaan.
played
Oh,
Dark
that's
Arisen.
true. Dark Arisen, they took it out because they're cowards. And I actually do have a mod on Dark Arisen for PC when I have that adds back Dangaan.
So I'm missing a key
into it.
component here. Is what
Oh,
you're
dude,
saying.
it is.
YouTube
It
that
was such a
song
good
later.
song. Yeah. Well, we'll do it during the break, man.
Yeah.
But anyway,
What's the name of the song again? One
so
more time. I'm looking it up.
Into
Dangan.
Free.
Into
Also,
Free.
yeah, it's Dangan. Dangan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the game improvements, yes, definitely things have been improved. They've taken some of the things that were issues in the first game and improved on them. But to your point, they've also kind of done a few similar things that are kind of, it does feel a little B tier. Some things are weird. To your point, Brad, the cutscenes are weird. It's like they spent no time deciding, hey, a cutscene's going on, let's place the camera here. It's just, they're just like, wherever the camera lies, that's where it lies. And there are times where it's like there's two people having a conversation, but I'm just like locked in on one, and like the other one's like off screen somewhere, and I'm like, why did they not choose to just kind of put the camera over here so you could see both, or maybe kind of do
Are we
it back
talking
and
about
forth?
Are we talking about like actual legitimate quote unquote cinematic moments in the story? Because there's been a few
a lot
that
of
are really
many
nice.
truly cinematic moments.
So far there's not that many cinematic cutscenes. These are all like in engine, like you literally, think of like a Skyrim or whatever, where someone runs up to you and all of a sudden it zooms in on their face and like now you're in a cutscene or a conversation.
Right.
But in this, like they run up to you and then the camera just looks at them, and then there's like a back and forth conversation going on between
Sometimes
you
it's
and like the guy you're
weirdly
escorting.
close.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's going on here, man? Like this is, well, but for as an example, and you're not there, Nick. Yeah, and maybe you'll get there soon. But once you get to the capital, there's a important, and Sonji in chat saying that's not a cutscene. I understand it's not a cutscene, but it is a delivery of exposition. So let's say that when they deliver exposition in this game, they oftentimes do a bad job of placing the camera in a way that makes it feel like you're in there. It's not like they just have you facing the person either. The camera's off to the side. It's just at a weird angle and in a weird place. When you get to the capital, you're going to have a story based exposition delivery, because it's not a cutscene. But yeah, similarly, you're in like a small room with one other person, and the camera is just kind of looking at them. I don't know. It's just weird. I don't understand why they chose to do that.
I know what it's, dude. This is a Japanese developed role playing game with big Eurojank energy.
Yes.
But like in also good ways, like the good kind of Eurojank energy, honestly.
Yeah.
And God, I hate to like say anything negative. I mean, I hate to like focus on the negative because I think Dragon's Dogma was remarkable. I love that first one and I love this new one. And I do have answers to my own question.
Well, real quick, I think it's funny.
I do think they can accomplish their design philosophy with this one more than the first game. Go ahead.
Just Skipster in chat says I've had times where my camera was inside my character, so I couldn't see either side of the conversation.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. I think that happened to me once.
It's weird.
It's wild.
So the big thing, I think the design philosophy, right, of like Dragon's Dogma is it's about the journey, right? It's you get these quests and it's about, and it makes sense from like Capcom and like people who've worked on like Monster Hunter and stuff, right? Also Devil May Cry. Combat's really good. But it's you don't just have a quest, you got to prepare for a quest, right? And you got to go on this journey, and it's about that journey, and it's about kind of what you encounter along the way, and are you prepared for it, and how you react to that, and if you kind of keep going or decide to turn back, or can you keep going, or making that decision of should I keep going, because it's about that journey, right? And it's about stuff like nightfall, right? And you have to camp, and are you going to survive the night, or are you going to keep pushing through the night, because some of these quests are timed, right? Which is very not friendly like game design. It's pretty subversive. And maybe 12 years ago, we were rejecting that because we wanted waypoints and we wanted to see all the content. And now it's like, well, you're just going to fail this quest, right? I think we're more accepting of that now. But ultimately, again, it's about that journey, right? And I think the problem with the first game is that the world of the first game was actually pretty small, and you ran through
was.
like the same spaces over and over and over again. You didn't have a huge space to explore that design philosophy of the journey. So when you're running back between like Grand Soren and wherever over and over and over again, especially because in that game, like the encounters out in the world were like more or less like the same and all the
Yeah.
same places over and over
And
again.
enemy placements are almost on the exact same spots every single time you would run
Here
past them.
it feels much more dynamic.
Dude,
So
to
the
that
world
to
is
that point,
larger. So you're exploring more of it for the first time as opposed to the same areas over and over again, which you still do. Um, the world is much larger. Your journey, your paths, your journeys are longer. The encounters are more dynamic. So not every journey like feels the same, and there's actually more stuff to find in the world, right? Like in the original game, there's only so many caves and like dungeony type things, right? And once you did them, they were neat. But here I feel like I'm finding them constantly. And I feel
Mhm.
like that's a big part of exploring the world is you have to feel like you're actually gonna like find some cool shit out there. And when
so
you go on those journeys, right? And
can I just
here,
interject here
yeah.
real quick? Because to your point, the size of the world makes such a big difference in this game, especially because this is hyperbolic. What I'm about to say is hyperbolic, but is that the word? Yeah, hyperbolic is the word I'm looking for. In comparison, I almost feel hesitant to even refer to Dragon's Dogma 1 as open world, because those areas seem so. It almost felt like large open areas instead of an open world game, because I feel like I was talking about earlier, like that journey from the start of the game to the capital city that you initiate in a very similar way in this game is like a fraction of the time it takes to travel that distance. And then you
Mhm.
spend so much time in that big open field kind of outside of Grand Soren in that first game. Like this, like the size of that field in that first game is like just one tiny area in comparison in this game. And
Yeah,
this world is denser. And it's
it is
denser.
denser, right? Like it feels very large and it is a lot larger, but it is still the kind of thing where it takes a long time to like traverse not a huge amount of space because it's very dense and because uh there's a lot to kind of do along the way, and because sometimes you just kind of have to inch through. I think it's the kind of game like maybe by the end of it it's not going to feel quite as large as it does early on, but I think that's good. I think that's actually like an interesting thing about like learning and exploring a world is that kind of feels smaller as you become more comfortable with it. But I think they doubled down on the journey aspect as well. There's some things they do in this one that I think are really smart. One of them is that you have like your maximum health will continue to go down as you take damage. So it,
Mhm.
it feels like it's putting like a time limit on your journey, because you have the wanderlust, right? You want to explore, you see a cave, you're like, I know there's going to be treasure in there, I might find a cool weapon, I want to push forward. And you keep getting distracted, you want to explore, but you know the further you push, the more your health is going to go down, the closer to nightfall it's going to be. And maybe you already used your one camping gear because you know it's heavy and you only brought one. That's the thing. I
Okay,
feel like
real
this game
quick.
also double downs on encumbrance. A lot of RPGs have encumbrance, but this is one of like the few that actually where you feel encumbrance in it, and it finally feels like it has a point, and that's
Brad,
that
Mhm.
you can only carry so much. What?
I found this out yesterday, and then
Yeah.
people in chat have been losing their minds about it too. Uh, the camping things are not consumables.
What does that
If
mean?
you have, as in when you use it, you don't lose it. You can use, as
But
long as you have one, you can use it over and over and over and over and over
I thought
again.
it's multiple use. Like if you
I don't
like,
think so.
they eventually go away.
Mr. Papa Shot said it only gets consumed if you get raided, which I don't even know. That hasn't happened to
Huh.
me yet.
I've
So
definitely like had one or more
because
than one and have not.
somebody on
I
Twitter was like, "Guys, I've been carrying around 7 of these things, and I'm losing my fucking mind
I
because you
guess I
don't need to
didn't
do that."
notice because I never carry them. I always give them to my pawn to carry. And so I guess
Yeah.
I've always assumed it's been consumed.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
make sense to me because I've
I
definitely
checked
gone up to
last night.
campfires and have not been able to camp.
I did it live on the stream last night. I had 2 in my inventory. I camped like twice, and I still had 2 in my inventory. Like it. Then I was like, well, I'm gonna give 1 to my pawn in case something happens and I lose it somehow. But
I thought
yeah,
some were multi-use.
unless something specifically happens, you're not gonna lose it. And apparently
So,
that's a
but
that's a
I've
misunderstanding that a
definitely
lot of people
gone
are
up to
having.
campfires and have not been able to camp before. How is that
Then
possible?
there are probably scenarios something may have happened to you on your journey that caused you to lose it somehow, but like that I don't think that's a particularly common thing because in my 8 or so hours of exploration it has not happened to me yet, and I'm seeing people on Twitter react upon learning this news. They're like, holy
Interesting.
shit, this is like a game changer.
Well,
So,
it's
yeah,
definitely not clear.
it's not clear. That's the point. Like they do not make that clear. But like it is not just a typical. It's not like a one-time use. As long as
Mhm.
you protect it and nothing bad happens, I'm guessing these
I thought
raids,
it
which
was
they
like
may be
a
referring to.
multi-use based on like the quality of the camping gear because there's just been too many times where I've not been able to camp. It's weird.
Mm.
Interesting. Wait, if it's in my pawn's inventory, can I not use it?
You can still use
No,
it
you can use it.
because that's how I've always done it. And I just assumed it was going away.
The
That's
important thing is that
unusual.
you have it on someone in your party while you're running around.
Yeah.
If you put it
But
in your storage
regardless,
thing,
it's heavy, right? And like your weight
yes,
is
it is.
directly
I
affecting.
spend a lot of time in my menu shuffling stuff around, which is why I'm really excited to find a pawn that has that ability that allows them to like
I
automatically
found a
distribute
pawn that has
stuff.
that ability, but I don't know if he's using it. I don't know how to make him use it.
I don't know
I
either.
mean, like the
That's one thing.
logistician or whatever.
I don't know if we want to transition to this at this point, but like that's one thing that I'm struggling with. Like I love this game has like the pawn system I'm liking way more in this game than the first game, but I'm still struggling with certain things. Last night in particular, I was trying to get into a cave, right? And I had this beautiful moment. Just I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna get across this chasm? And then all of a sudden, I did the go command to see if my pawn could figure out a way, and he ran up to the ledge and like hunkered down with his shield on his back and was like, "Get on my back!" And I was like, "What?" And I ran to him, and he launched me over the chasm
Oh,
onto the.
my
And I
pawn's
was
a
like,
mage, and I had them levitate to a
"Yeah,
chest that I
that shit's
couldn't reach, and
crazy.
I was like, "That's
That
cool."
is cool.
That shit's
But
crazy." But then at the same time, I had the same pawn somehow get into a cave that I was trying to get into, and I have no idea how he got there, and he got stuck, and then he died.
mm,
And I was like, and I never found the
there's some
entrance to the
chicken.
cave, and I was like, "What the fuck?" It was weird.
Can I just say to wrap up like this journey thing, like
Yeah,
it's easy just to tell stories because like the game is like the story of this game is there's the main story, right? But it's really about like the experiences you have because of these dynamic
which is
encounters and these
crazy.
journeys and stuff. But like the one that like sort of sealed the deal of like, man, they really are doubling down on the whole concept of like, I just got to make it to like the morning, or I just got to make it to my destination. And I've been in caves where I've like, oh man, I've done what I needed to do here and I want to explore more of this cave, but I can't. I gotta come back. I cannot do this. My whole team is gonna eat shit if I don't back out, get to a campsite or something. But like I got to that second like region, like the desert area, and like my fight through this desert area where there was nothing, I guess I didn't have my camping gear or whatever, but I I just really needed to like get to my destination. I'm looking for this other capital city, and it's just a fight, and it's pitch black in the desert, and it's just constantly fighting, and
Panic
I'm just
setting in.
barely
Yeah.
hanging on. I've been using wake stones just to survive. It's brutal, and I finally get to this capital city. I'm like, thank God, and I'm like poisoned, and my mage is constantly healing me because I have like two potions to cure like poison, and I'm like, I only have two of these. I'm just gonna get to an inn, and I'm gonna go to sleep, and it's gonna be better, because it just wasn't going away. And I'm like, I finally get to this capital city, and I look at the icon, and I'm like, I find the inn, and I'm like, thank God, this whole long journey is over. I've made it. Dragon's Dogma. Damn you, Itsuno. You did it again. I get it. Brilliant. And I get to the end, and he's like, all right, to stay here, it is 9,999 gold. And I'm
Jesus
like,
Christ.
you motherfucker. They knew that their inn out in the middle of the desert can charge that
Wow.
fucking much. And it destroyed me. I was like,
Did you not have
you
enough money?
asshole. I had the money, but it's a lot of money. The
Yeah.
economy in this game is
Yeah.
well it's tight, right? And there's always stuff you want. You never have enough money for it, and the ends are expensive. But like you have to fucking sleep. My health bars on all my characters were so tiny, and I just needed to fucking sleep so I could be comfortable in this new area. And I was being gouged by ridiculous inn prices, and I was like, this shit is brilliant. This is actually brilliant. I fucking hate this innkeeper right now. And I just saved my game and turned it off. And I have not decided yet if I actually want to pay that cost to sleep at that fucking inn.
That's the best twist right there I can
Oh
possibly
my
imagine.
Yeah.
god! But now you're telling me I just need camping gear is
I
infinite. I don't
there
know.
here
There's a lot of weird information going around. People are still finding out things about this game, so I guess I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
surprised. But at the same time, I'm not even sure if I completely believe you. Um,
I'm saying I did
like
it
I said,
last night.
I've played so much of this game right now, and
Look,
I've tried to
all I
camp.
know is there was somebody that found out about it on Twitter, and they found out because they had been carrying like 7 or 8 of these camp
Mhm.
Well,
like,
yeah, you definitely
and
don't
then
need.
and then they were like, I only needed 1, and they got rid of all of them, and they were like, I
Hmm.
haven't had to like find a new one in forever. So like,
Mhm.
and like, there's probably things out there. There's probably ways to lose it. Otherwise, there's what's the even point of making them a thing that you can buy multiple times?
Maybe
Like,
what it is
Mm.
like early on in the game, you get a type of camping gear that's not infinite. And then people aren't realizing that, you eventually, because there's definitely more than one kind of camping gear. Have you noticed that? They're not all the
yes,
same.
yes. So
I
one's like
didn't
They don't weigh
modest
the
notice
same.
camping
that.
They don't
gear.
cost the same. And I'm wondering if like you just get one like early on in the game that
Well,
is limited use or like a one-time use. And that's what it gets people thinking, oh, I got to keep buying these.
the one
But
that I use, there's one I used last night where when I camped, there wasn't an option to cook, and I'm wondering if that had something to do with the kind of camping gear that
Mm.
I had. They
that's
don't make
possible.
it super.
I've run into
They don't
that
make it
issue
super.
as well, where I've been able to camp and not cook. But I thought
Speaking
that was
of
just not having meat.
speaking of
Like the
the
cutscenes.
cooking thing is fucking amazing.
Silly,
Yeah.
yeah, weird.
It's so weird, but I love it. Um,
Chris Davis, are you aware of the cooking at campsites?
I've heard about that. I
it's
don't know what
Just
literally
that.
that
just
it's FMV. It's just like literally like 4K footage of like a slab of meat in a grill and just
Yeah.
the camera panning over it, sizzling and stuff like
So what
that. Kind of.
Capcom's gotten pretty good at lately is showing off
Yeah.
rendered and filmed food.
but it's not
Mm.
rendered. It's like literally someone
No,
just like
it's
filmed it.
it's footage.
Someone just filmed it on a really nice camera, and it's
I
just
like it.
Mm.
Maybe
it's
they
beautiful. It's
employed
like
like
it makes me salivate because it's looking at actual food.
Yeah.
But yeah, very very cool. Um, mm,
Interesting.
mm.
I mean, we didn't talk much about the combat. Like the combat is like pretty similar to how it was in the first game, actually. So is the vocation system. If
Mhm.
anything, when I look at this game and I feel like they've had so much potential here. I'm a little disappointed by the lack of classes and the lack of skills. Especially because when Dragon's Dogma Online came out, they had all these new classes and they all look so cool. Like I used to love watching videos of like these new classes going, oh man, these are so awesome. I bet they're gonna put these in Dragon's Dogma 2 or whatever someday, or just like, I just want to try this because that looks so cool. And then this one comes out and it's like there's really not that many classes, and like the way they limit them is a little frustrating, like you can only equip 4 skills on a character. I mean, this
Mhm.
is the creator of like Devil May Cry, or the series director at this point, and I feel like they could probably figure out how to get more than 4 skills on a goddamn controller than the 4 face buttons, and it's a little like I just
It
wish
makes
there was a
sense.
little more to it, to some of these vocations,
I mean
because
that
you
problem
get you
has been
could
solved countless
unlock a
times in
ton of
other
cool
games.
abilities, but you have
Like
to make
just
a ton of tough choices, and it's like
Yeah, like just being able to swap like have multiple face button settings and then just swapping between them
yeah.
mid combat would be it's like that we figured this shit out. Why are we still struggling with it?
Like
It's
so
strange.
they have this class. It's like you don't get till late in the game, or later in the game, called the Warfare, right? Which I was really excited. They showed it in trailers, and it's basically a class that can switch weapons, right? On the
Mm.
fly. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So you basically just dual class, right? I can have a fucking great sword and a magic archer bow, right? Sick, right? And you can have the skills of those classes. As long as you've learned the skills of those classes, you can basically have 2 classes at once. Except, get this, the one of your face buttons is the button to switch weapons.
So you
And
sacrifice
switching
one on
weapons,
each.
not just that, switching weapons doesn't actually switch your equipped skills. So between two classes, you can only have 3 equipped skills, like
Wow.
action
What?
skills.
That's
Yeah.
disappointing.
Like why would you limit it like that? There's so much
Yeah.
potential here. And it's like it's so frustrating, right? Because it's like, I'm a big Monster Hunter guy, and I feel like those weapons have like insane depth, right? You can play Monster Hunter for hundreds of hours and just dedicate it to one weapon because they're just really deep and complex. And even in Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak, they started introducing the ability to like, do all these crazy like skill swapping and shit. Like they have the knowledge and ability to do something not so limited. And I guess it's part of the design philosophy. They wanted to limit the player, but it's like with so many cool skills and with combat so fun, like I just want to do more of this shit. Like the thief
For
has the
sure.
ability to do this like concussive step where he can like throw down a bomb, which gives him basically like a double jump, which he can like string that together with some of his other skills like Helm Splitter to actually reach parts of like the map that like other classes can't, right? But I also have like if I want to have that's also a move that's like not effective at all in combat. So if I want to like have that skill, I'm basically just wasting a slot, one of my 4 slots on something that is basically ineffective for anything but exploration. And it's like, come on, man, just let me. I just want to be able to do all of these things, but also still have my smoke bomb and also still have my rope to like pull things. But I can't. I can't. I can only have a handful of things, and I need the one that does damage, a lot of damage vertically, and the one that dashes me
Yeah.
in. So
It
at that
almost feels
point,
like
what choices do I have? Come on.
it almost feels like they kind of prioritize trying to like encourage replayability as opposed to just maximizing the fun in a single playthrough, which is kind of a disappointment. But
I'd
at the
I'd
same
be fine
time,
if I
like
could switch like characters in my party or something. Again, it's 12 years later and it's still a single player RPG with your one main pawn, your 2 pawns from other games, and there's like no other mechanics to like can I switch to my main pawn maybe or like to like
Yeah.
I'm okay with it sticking to a single player game, but why can't I switch characters? Rise of the Ronin lets you switch characters on the fly, like why
you heard
can't
it here
this game?
first,
It's
Rise of
just
the Ronin, better game than Dragon's Dogma 2.
I don't understand some of the limitations. I under some of them I do understand because again, that philosophy of it's about the journey and about they want it to be hard and memorable and dynamic and stuff. But like some of these things, it's like, come on, you have some of the best combat in the biz, and you're just, you know, fuck. I'm
Well,
never gonna play a mage or a sorcerer because you only
that's
have
what
these
pawns
few
are for.
spells and like I don't know.
No, I get it. I get it.
It's
But
cool, but also a little frustrating.
what we can say though, what we can say beyond the shadow of a doubt though, is the actual act of engaging in combat in this game is fucking
It's fun.
sick.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
Sick.
so fun, even without a lock on. Like using your shield, like raising your shield, kind of loosely locks onto your nearest enemy. Kind of like
Well, if
makes
you're
it
a
easy to kind.
fighter, they're the only ones with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
shield.
If you're, I am playing as a fighter, so like that's maybe specific to the fighter class, whatever. But like it just engaging in combat in this game is super fun. And I'm talking about even just fighting like low level, like small enemies. Like the few encounters I've had with like larger enemies. I mean, I remember playing that first game and like just the thrill of trying to like get onto a creature's back and just seeing how like in the amount of stories that I've already read, just like, even like within the first 2 days of this game's release, like people tweeting about like this is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in a game, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't wait. I
And
can't wait to get to that point.
and that's what I was saying. That kind of sold me on the not sold me on the game, but kind of convinced me to play it sooner than later. Was that I was seeing a bunch of really cool shit people were doing, and I was like, I want to be doing that.
I
And
have
so
That's
I
the
was like,
thing that
been watching.
that's the thing we're that's the thing we're gonna be talking about at the end of the year. Is looking back in this game and like all of our kind of like our personal stories and the anecdotes from other people and whatnot, and
Mhm.
just man, some of it's just so dynamic. And like again, we had that conversation last week, and I think, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think we were talking a little bit about Red Dead Redemption 2, in terms of like their approach to world design, and you know how I feel about that game in terms of how it handles open world content and like constantly feeling like you're discovering something neat and you never know what's around the bend. This
Mhm.
game is kind of having that same effect, but in a very different way. Like it obviously its approach to open world design is different than something like Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm having a lot of the same feelings and vibes that I do. Like I'm not
Sure.
like it's not the kind of thing where like you name drop some games that are obviously notorious for having kind of the Ubisoftification, and you get into kind of a rhythm, and some people and there's value to that kind of stuff, but like after a while things become very predictable, and this is anything but. And I'm literally just talking from the first like 10 hours in this game and being so early. Like it's crazy, man.
I'm excited to keep going.
I'm so excited
sure.
to keep going with this for sure.
By the way, apparently I keep hearing this PSA, and it's not a spoiler, but apparently you need to remember where you found your first secret coin. That's all I know. If you found one, you better remember where you found it.
I found like 6 of them so far.
Really? Wow, you really
Yeah.
have just been exploring the wilderness.
Just running around the fucking world all day, man.
Wow.
I think it was mine was in the capital city. Actually, I don't know.
I don't know mine.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's great, and like I do have. At the same time, I did start like Rise of the Ronin, which is like getting for the same reasons that like I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is the right game for the right time and is being praised. Like I said, even though design philosophy wise is very similar to the game that got a 75 12 years ago. Now Rise of the Ronin is getting a 75, and it's because it's the game that I think people are rejecting, right? The
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
like standard checklisty open world game that's feels pretty box standard. But at the
Yep.
same time, like it's definitely it's weird to play them together at the same time, but
I can imagine.
they definitely both have a place. I'm
Sure.
glad Dragon's Dogma exists, and I will always value that sort of thing. But the other style, and again, Rebirth we've been playing, and even Yakuza, right, which is another like kind of icon driven open world game. There's definitely a place for that sort of thing as well. They can be just as addictive, in just in different ways.
But this is Dragons. I mean, you're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. It is just it makes it kind of that much more apparent when you play something that is like, okay, this is special.
Yeah.
And I think Dragon's Dogma is definitely one of those.
Nick, when are you gonna get that Mystic Spear hand clasp? Because it's made for you, dude.
I know.
He's got like a robe, a hooded robe, and a
Fuck.
dual staff. I hate it personally. I stopped using it because it's like the version of cool I don't like, which is fine. Crispy would call me an idiot right now if he was on the podcast because he probably
I can hear
adores the Mystic Spear hand.
I can hear him
because
somewhere.
It's basically Nightwing or whatever from Batman.
Batman, yeah.
I'll
keep you posted. I don't know if y'all notice what we were talking, but there's a point at the end of this footage where I went to a rift stone and it was looking through pawns, or like it's one of those ones that gives you a very like it just pawn like comes out of it and then starts. That's one thing that drives me crazy is how they pawns will initiate conversations with you without you actually having to actually push a button. Like if you get too close to a pawn that's just walking around the world, they're just like, hey, let me tell you about myself, and I'm like, please stop. Yeah. Wing saw it. The pawn that came out of the rift stone was named Cumlord.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, well, that's going in the footage. Jesus Christ.
I do like the I will say the pawn, like the whole like desperation of like trying to get to my destination after a really long, hard fought journey has definitely led into situations where, like I started the game using like Crispy's pawn.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, this is Crispy's pawn. This is nice. But then it's like, wait a minute, Crispy's pawn is low level now. Like I've had to dump pawns like out in the wild when I find like rift stones out in the wild, just because I'm so desperate for someone stronger. Because some of these journeys I've leveled up like 3-4 times, and like my pawns maybe had not leveled up in like 3-4 times before that. So I'm like, dude, I just need I need a big meaty dude right now to get me to the end of my journey. So I'm dropping this fucking little tiny cat mage because I need some meat in my party, some high level meat. God damn it!
Need some high level
I'm
meat.
getting my ass kicked.
So
yeah, I've done that.
I hope I'm not stealing anybody's.
My pawns frequently comment, and I feel like they're talking shit a little bit. One of my pawns is always, my last master only used female pawns or whatever. This is kind of weird. I'm like, okay, dude.
They do comment on that kind of stuff. There was somebody that was like rage quitting. It was circling around Twitter or whatever. Some person like made some really terrible, like, I don't know, it was some weird Gamergate dude. Like, he's like, I run around with all women or all dudes because, like, women aren't made for fighting or something, and the pawns are basically calling me gay or something like that. So he just like, I'm rage quitting, and I was like, that's fucking amazing. Oh god, what was I gonna?
Have they
no, I
added a
hope I'm not
default
stealing
way
anybody's
to?
thunder. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just wondering, like, have they added a default way to make them less talkative in this game?
I don't
I
think so.
actually have not seen that setting, but I embrace the chattiness now. That's so stupid. How they talk, but it's funny.
It is dumb. At least the voice acting is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
It's
it's
just
very
very
medieval times.
It's just very
Someone-
common. Just like very abundant, like they're always talking. There's very chatty Cathys. I hope I'm not stealing anybody's thunder, but Crispy told the story in Discord that Brad apparently, when he like sent his pawn back to him, sent him with like rotten meat or something. Is that
That's a thing you can do, yeah.
dick move, Brad? Dick
he needs
move.
to level up his fucking pawn. That's what he needs to do.
Oh god. Okay.
Yeah.
One more question I want to ask real quick. I could have sworn with the original game that there was like an online portal you could go on to just look at people's pawns. Is that a thing in this?
I don't know. I mean, you can go to Riftstones and
Yeah, you go into Riftstone.
No, I'm talking about outside of the game.
Oh,
not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, when you go into a Riftstone, you're like standing in a void, and there's just pawns everywhere, so you can like
you can
walk
look at your
up to them
friends'
and stuff.
pawns. You can favorite pawns. I mean, like all that stuff's pretty nice, and it's addictive. Kind of looking at people's setups and I feel like I'm at a buffet of ladies because I'm filtering it by ladies. Sometimes I wish there was a filter for like only tall ladies, but like you'll occasionally come across like Riftstones in the wild that have like themes. Like I swear I've seen like a beefy dude like Riftstone, and if you go in there, it's just like beefy like fat guys, like all of them in there, and there's no one else. Just like it's like the fat guy Riftstone, and it's like, look, man, I know you need a pawn, but this is where you're at, and if you we're all beefy dudes.
This is a very different buffet you're in.
Like, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's cool.
Okay.
This game's cool. It's charming. It's nice. I like
this game is very, very cool. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take our break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about Judas. We're gonna talk about Alone in the Dark, and of course, we're gonna wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live on Twitch or YouTube, stick with us. We'll be back after this short break. Yes, I did make a very short character.
Yeah,
Mine's very tall.
Oh yeah, I made the tallest character.
All your other characters were towering over you, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. No, I was actually so. I like short ladies. What do you mean to say? Well, actually,
you like short.
I like short ladies. No, I was.
I was looking at your footage.
Is Robin taller than you?
She's about the same height as. I mean, she might be like a fraction of. She's basically my height. Hey, shut up. I didn't say I only like
he
short
said he
ladies.
likes short ladies. Let's be clear here. Just because Robin's taller than Nick does not mean she's not a short lady. Nick is just, a very humble-sized man.
I didn't say I only like short ladies. I just said I like short ladies. No, I spent all my time in the character. This was the first time I've ever tried to do this because I thought, why not? I'm gonna try and I'm gonna have like a source image on my left screen, and I'm gonna have character created on the right, and I'm going to try and recreate like an actual character, right? So I was trying to recreate Buffy, and I didn't quite have the effect. That's just hard. I really have respect for people who are able to pull that shit off and make it look good. I didn't quite get the character that I didn't quite get the likeness that I was going for, but I ended up really liking the way she turned out. So, fuck it.
I made the tallest lady I could, and the tiniest like cat lady pawn, and it's a pretty funny thing to see. But when I started this game, I was like, well, I'm going to be a fucking warrior. Of course, I'm going to be like a huge, tall lady because I'm going to be a warrior. But then I'm like, I don't want to be a warrior. So now I'm a thief. And it's so weird being like an enormous, like dual wielding, like dashy, like thief who's like taller than anyone.
It's counterintuitive a little bit. I'll be right back.
I don't know. I just wanted. It's the most carry weight. If your height determines carry weight, I think. So I was like, well, I want the most carry weight. But I don't know. I'm actually curious to see how height affects stamina because I know they regen. The larger you are, you regen stamina lower. But I wonder like how different the regen actually is. Because
There's pros and cons because I was looking into it a little bit, and I know it's like certain things where it's like, yeah, you regen stamina lower, but your stride is longer, so you actually move a further
move
distance
faster.
as you run. So yeah, there really is like a pro and a con.
You can also carry more, which means your
Yeah.
thresholds for light versus like average versus heavy. Like your carry weight, which actually affects your stamina even more, is better. So
Yeah.
technically, like depending on that, how different it is, it could actually be better stamina wise to be bigger. I don't actually know.
Yeah.
I need to.
I don't know what the actual but I mean it's also other things like I know you're get knocked back less when you're bigger, and
I feel like your reach would be better too. I
your
just
reach
figure
is
like
your reach is physically longer when you
Yeah.
when you're bigger. Yeah.
Hmm. All right. I'm gonna look at this camping gear thing because I'm still in disbelief.
54 deaths, huh? I've not died once yet, but I've also been very like playing it too safe. I'm probably gonna die soon. I know for sure I will. J hit, I don't know what you mean, but thank you for being subtle and cryptic. I'm gonna find out.
Okay, so there are different types of camping kits, and some can break if you're
Okay.
attacked at night.
Well, yeah, that's what they were saying earlier. If you're attacked, they'll break. If you're not attacked, then you get to reuse it.
Well, this person's saying their elite camping tent just broke.
Probably because they got attacked.
Interesting.
You got to clear out the area of enemies.
What you snacking on?
Some tortilla chips from Bubba Coos.
Bubba Coos.
Yep.
Yeah, they definitely can break. People are saying even the DLC camping kit that you can buy can break.
Oh wow.
Have you been able to
I'm
find
wondering.
a?
I'm wondering if even like camping is like you get
That's cool,
attacked
Papa.
during the night, like almost scripted early on in the game, and that's why people are thinking that they go away.
Maybe.
Have you found a decent Mexican food place up there in Delaware yet? Or is that even? Is that just
Obviously not.
It's
No, we have not.
what, Puerto Rican food or something, right? I mean, it's just
I mean, there's lots of good Italian food. Some pretty decent seafood places. Like there's a couple of there's a lot of mom and pop shops around where I am. So there's like a pretty good like it's like a catfish parlor. There's a good like a crab cake place.
Okay.
A couple of there's a ramen place near me. Couple of yeah, just like a lot of smaller things that we found that we like around here. But yeah, obviously there's no Tex-Mex.
Well, just there might have been
Wait, so
something.
Papa Shot, you're saying your camping kit never went away. Does that mean you literally never got attacked in the middle of the night? How is that possible?
Because there's one taco place that's near us, but it's not really like I wouldn't call it Tex-Mex. I would call it just kind of like street tacos. I don't know.
Okay.
Definitely does not have a Tex-Mex feel. For Vixie, are you saying yours didn't go away, but you never got attacked, or you got attacked and it didn't go away? Like Brad was saying, there's potentially a chance that if it's the higher quality one, maybe there's a percentage chance it breaks.
Also, how do you define when an area is clear before camping? I thought like it wouldn't even let you camp unless the area was clear,
That's still
but
will.
you can camp when the area is still not clear. Okay. It's so weird. I've played so much of this game and I feel like there's still a lot I don't know.
Oh yeah. I'm sure there's dozens of things I don't know about the game yet.
So
But
it
I'm
looks
learning.
like there's different like tiers, like qualities of camping gear, and like some of the more expensive ones are lighter. But also,
Mm.
I think maybe some you're more or less likely to get raided with as well. So
Sterling, the game runs pretty good. I didn't want to talk too much about a bunch of my negative feelings because I do have more. I actually don't want to spoil the kind of fun. I might talk about it more next week. But some smaller things I've been having issues with. I think the camera's way too close to the main character. Like
yeah,
I
you can change
really
that. It's just
wished
a setting.
I have it maxed, Brad. I still think it's too close. Like I want it
True.
another like 10 feet out almost. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like I'm fucking right up on them. And maybe it's because I have a big character. Maybe if I had like a smaller character, it might feel less
Good
like
point.
it's
Good
like it's right up on them. But yeah, I
I-
don't know why. Like for some reason, I just feel like I'm too close to them.
I noticed that while I was watching Nick's footage, like it felt really close, and he didn't have much peripheral vision.
Oh, you have
unfortunately.
no peripheral vision. I'm constantly getting attacked from like the sides because enemies like will fucking jump at you, and because the field of view is so narrow and you're so close, you just don't see it coming. Okay, so never mind. So I was wrong. So the height of the character doesn't matter because Yeti says with a short character it's still the same. Don't get me wrong, I am enjoying the game, but there was also in one of the first escort quests when you're taking the guy to the capital. So we camp at night. Well, I don't know if you have to camp at night. Maybe you kind of do just because you're going a long distance to get there. So we camp, wake up the next morning, you know, doing some stuff, clearing out a thing, fighting like a cyclops or whatever. And then I'm you know, obviously all of that took a little time. And then I'm kind of following the path more. And I'm like, where's the fucking guy I'm escorting? Like, he's not here. I'm like, where the fuck is he? And I look at my map, he's nowhere on there. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, my quest is to escort this guy. He's just gone. And so I backtrack all the way to the camp, and he was like there's like a log in the path, and he was just kind of running into the log, just standing there. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? So I was able to get him and continue, but it's like he didn't even show up on the map until I got right up on him.
Interesting.
All right, so hold on. Chris Davis, do you don't have a view of 5 of this, or you can quickly change to a view of 5? Do you?
Yeah, I can do it.
Did that be pretty?
Okay, switch it to 5, and I'll switch the thing here. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to show share my screen. Share quality. Bitrate. All right, Nick, can you hear my screen share?
Oh,
I
gotta click it.
think-
Hang on one second.
Yeah, Chris Davis will have to make sure the chat can hear it.
Mute. Okay, that ought to do it.
Nick, you good?
I think so. I can't really tell if it's the
Well, yeah, it'll start playing here in a second. But this is Into Free Dangan by I don't know how to say their name. Z.
I can hear
So
it.
this was. You can hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was playing at the. Obviously, this is like a cutscene of some stuff that was put together. But this was the title screen audio for the original game.
Gotcha. It does sound familiar.
It hasn't gotten good yet. Is the audio level too loud, too quiet?
Sounds good to me.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it is, Papa?
Wait, are you spoiling shit? Damn it! I don't want to know that. Oh no! Oh no! I feel like that's a spoiler. No, I didn't want to know that.
Wind is pushing me.
Oh no!
It is a very strange fit.
Oh no! Oh no! Because I already know the game's gonna have a late game title card. Oh no! Oh no! You ruined the moment. No! Oh, now I want to see that moment so badly.
It's too late, Brad. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Hmm.
Oh no!
I mean, you
But
could.
anyway,
It's just hard.
this game, and like the funny thing is, Nick, when it came out, a lot of people were shitting on this song because they're like, "This is weird. Like,
It
this
is
does
weird,
not feel
but-
like it's a Dragon's Dogma song." But holy shit, man! Like, I think it's one of those things where people like look back on it and they're like, "Oh man, we were wrong. This is fucking amazing."
I mean, yeah, it's not the most like when you look at it, it's not what you would necessarily expect, but I can definitely see how it would grow on
I
you.
mean, it's Dragon's Dogma, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This is Dragon's Dogma. Why is
Yeah,
anyway,
no,
so
I
like,
dig-
Crispy's been playing this motherfucker.
I dig it.
yeah, right.
He'll be on next time. Very cool.
No, anyway, that's there's more to it than that, but we can stop
Just
there.
fucking
It is a
Capcom.
fucking amazing song.
I am recording.
I'm not.
I also am not, but I'm about to be
But now I am.
testing. 1, 2, testing. Okay, there we go.
We do this.
All right.
Animal Well got a release date, I think.
Hey, so are we starting? Are we starting
something.
with Alone in the Dark, or do you want to start? Do you want to open with the Judas conversation
No,
first?
Alone in the Dark.
Okay, but this is why
I
I
haven't
asked.
even
has
seen any of
pressing
the Judas
questions
stuff
for
yet,
me.
or read any.
I don't
of
think
it,
there's
so.
too much to see.
Do
We've
we?
seen the trailers.
Do you have footage that you're planning on using for
No.
Judas, or
No, there's no collective like footage
Okay.
that you can do.
all right? Well, then we will do Alone in the Dark, and then we'll talk a little bit about Judas, and then roll into the 4-player minute from there.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Is everybody recording?
I am recording.
Yes.
All right. Roll call starts now. Brad,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Nolan,
This is Nolan, and I am doing my sound check / find Nolan on the audio feed for the podcast.
thank you. Chris Davis,
This is the part where you find Chris in the audio test so Nick can sync everything together.
perfect.
Scout
Perfect.
is
Thank
trustworthy,
you.
loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Gee, this motherfucker.
What the fuck was that?
I know what he's talking about.
What is he talking about?
No idea.
You had
He
to be
lost.
there.
He lost me. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Let's go. Let's do it. The moment you've all been waiting for. Alone in the Dark. Chris Davis.
Really?
You have. Let me guess.
The
Real quick.
big
Chris
Alone in the Dark fan here, let's be real. The big horror guy, Alone in the Dark fan.
Yeah, I feel like you're
Jodie
totally
Comer
stealing my thunder here.
Okay,
Uh,
let me reiterate again for like the 5th time why I chose to play this game.
Because you
I
wanted, you
purchased
wanted to
this
be.
game.
We are 3
Purchase.
months into 2024, and I have played to completion 2 video games. Both were JRPGs in excess of 80 hours each.
So you
And
needed
I
a break.
wanted something shorter to say
yeah.
that
Oh,
I
there's
would be
lots
able
of
to
short
play and
video
finish a
games out
game,
there.
3 games in 3 months. That's all
You
I
should've
really
played
wanted.
Prince.
If someone handed you a
that's fine.
copy of this game and said, play this, I'd be like, fine.
Oh
Nope.
no.
You bought this game.
Yes.
And I know you had a coupon or something, right?
I had a
But, like-
coupon. I had it for
but,
30%
like, this-
off.
I'm just saying, this doesn't seem like your genre. It doesn't seem like your series. You're a big series guy. I don't think this is anybody's series, really. So maybe Zerby. I mean, like, this didn't get great reviews. I'm just saying, like, what was so compelling about this one?
I was curious. The last Alone in the Dark game I played was the 2009 game, which was
Sometimes
terrible.
curiosity.
Okay, so you did play that game.
yes.
Hey, real quick, is the 2009 one the
history.
one like the sticky tape,
Yes.
or is that okay?
Of course.
Yeah.
I did play
I mean,
that one. That's
there hasn't been that many Alone in the Dark games, and like I don't think any of them are like. I mean, the original is considered like important, right? You know, it is pre-Resident Evil cinematic camera angles, right?
right.
You know,
Right.
it was a big deal. Not a big deal, but it was influential, right? But like, I don't think the series is ever like, you know, scored in
Let's
the
just say
80s.
people, the expectations
It's
expectations for this game were tempered.
they were
That's-
low.
that's
Let's be
still
real here. I
generous.
don't think anyone was expecting the world of this game. This is again why I thought it was a little strange that Chris Davis randomly decided to pick it up, purchase it. This is a full price game, right?
Yeah. It was $60. It's not $70.
that's-
Did you play the demo from like a year ago or whatever?
I did not.
I did.
Me too.
Anyways, here.
Anyway.
I will say this before you get started. On a personal level, I am still very curious for this game because atmosphere-wise and kind of genre-wise, this very
is
much
your
does
lane,
speak to me.
Nick.
This is my lane. Yes, this is my lane. Chris
That's
Davis
the thing. That's
is
the
in
thing,
my
right?
lane.
Someone who longs for horror games, there's so many out there. There's like awesome horror indie games constantly being recommended all of the time, right? Nick plays so many of them. He talks about them on the podcast. Carlos plays them, you know. Chai Tai, all kinds of people in our community are constantly recommending cool horror games. But he picks the big budget, full price one that got bad reviews, and I don't get it. It's not even his genre. He didn't even know who Jodie Comer was. I thought maybe he had a crush on her, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, Killing Eve fan, and I posted a picture of her. It's like, oh, it's you know, he's like, oh, who's that? Or he's like, that's Jodie Comer, right? I don't think I've ever seen her in anything, and I'm like, okay, sure. But then he's like, I did see, and he's like, oh, she's the lady, or somebody says, he says he watched the movie Free Guy, purchased and watched the movie Free Guy, and didn't even notice that she was in the movie. And I'm like, she's like the lady in the
main
movie.
character,
How do you watch that
besides Ryan
movie and
Reynolds.
not notice that she's the lady in that movie?
Well, when you're watching a movie and the movie isn't very memorable, like I don't pay attention
That's
to
very nice.
actors and actresses sometimes, man. Like I
Anywho.
went through her whole IMDb, never seen anything she'd ever done except for that one movie that I bought for like $7 because it was on a 4K. You know, whatever.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
get off my
Interesting.
dick.
All right.
Anyway,
I'm just saying, I thought maybe you were a stan, but that was wrong also. You bought this game on a whim. I got it.
yeah.
let's hear about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's actually talk about it.
So this
You know,
is from
ahead.
the Swedish developer Pieces Interactive. Their last game of note, like full release, was Magicka 2. They took over Magicka from Arrowhead, who went on to make Helldivers, which also got a release last month and was really fucking good.
How do we feel about Magicka? What's the history of is Magicka like a
Well, I
well
don't think
received?
I don't think people liked Magicka 2 that much.
No, Magicka 2 wasn't as good as Magicka 1, but you know,
Which now I'm finding out maybe it was because it was a different developer.
Look, let's be real.
Developer.
Making video games is hard.
making
Sure,
video
yeah,
games is hard.
yeah.
You got to give
Yeah.
people a try, Brad. You got to give them.
Oh, like
let people
sure,
cook.
I believe you, but like again, it's the purchasing decision of a thing. you
Anyway,
don't usually
Alone
buy.
in the Dark 2024.
Yeah. Wait, did you finish this game?
I have finished it twice.
What the shit? I mean,
Okay.
again, I don't know why that surprises
To
me.
be
I don't
fair,
know why that surprises
it
me.
is a
He's
it
gonna
is
tell
a
us about the
short
new FIFA game after this.
Brad, please. This is a short game. It's like 6-ish hours to a playthrough. You have to realize this game, and the developers have specifically admitted this, is heavily inspired by Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Okay.
Like,
Okay, I was about to say, if
their
you see
entire
Resident
design,
Evil-
their entire design is very much mimicking Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Right. I mean, that's not surprising.
Ah.
Resident Evil 2 Remake is in and of itself a very what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it's going to inspire a lot of development, a lot of games
That-
coming forward. It's
Is,
kind of
is
like
that why in the 2 years of marketing this game they showed exactly 2.3 seconds of combat?
I
Well,
did
I mean-
find that a bit suspicious.
I mean, the combat isn't necessarily that good. I would completely agree with criticism of the game that it's just, it could
I
be a
haven't
lot
even
better,
seen
and it's
it.
just
Do
not.
You, do you
But
do combat in this footage?
yes, I do.
Okay. Continue.
So you will see. But I kind of kind of like it. Um,
Well, you
I
played it
like the
twice,
fact
I
that
hope.
they ape the Resident Evil 2 remake formula so much that like the things about RE2 remake, like how the campaigns were split up and you were basically doing the same things, but you were seeing it from different characters' perspectives. So you got different dialogue and different cinematic events, and even had character specific like levels to go do. Like
Right.
that's in here. So whether you're playing as Edward Carnby, David Harbour, or Jodie Comer as Emily Hartwood, you're basically going through the same game, except you're getting different perspectives on cinematics
So
and events.
does that account for your two playthroughs? You played through the entire game each as one character.
Yes.
It's not a like you swap back and forth during the same playthrough.
No, it's
You play through one okay,
two separate,
gotcha.
complete disconnected campaigns.
So again, like Resident Evil 2 remake, okay,
Yeah,
or
like
Resident Evil 2 in general, I suppose.
So it's you going through basically the same structure in each campaign, but at a certain point, the game gives you the character exclusive level and content.
Okay.
And it's kind of cool how they do that in that, like, each character's not to put too fine a point on it, but each character's exclusive content is like dealing with their own past trauma that haunts them.
Ooh, Silent Hill.
I mean, it kind of, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Look. I just want to be totally honest here. I'm looking at this footage and I'm thinking to myself, this looks like my jam. I'm not even gonna lie.
You fucking Mark.
I am. I'm a fucking Mark, man. This is like, first of all, you got to remember, like, the original Alone in the Dark. It's kind of like what led to the birth of the original Resident Evil. So like now we've come full circle, and now Resident Evil, or this is kind of aping the remake series of Resident Evil, but it's also a period piece. I am a sucker for period pieces.
Funny, though, because like this is Edward Carnby, like the same like chubby guy from the original, and like the dude from the 2009 who's like, I don't have your stone and fuck you anyway.
Yeah,
like all of these three people are the same.
Well,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure these are just different takes on the same character. There's no actual like
there's no universe.
There's no connective
the fucking
tissue.
Lightbringer.
There's no connective tissue between the Lightbringer and this iteration of Edward Carnby.
I will say, I have been giving you a hard time, knowing that you at least played that bad one from 2009.
Stinky tape.
Is at least there's some connective tissue there between this and that, and something you've played before. So to be fair, but this is Nick's lane, so I wouldn't not give him shit for playing this because this is what he likes.
Yeah. So this is a period piece. It's set in 1929. It's a year
like
after.
Noir.
I mean, it's set in Louisiana. You're most of the game takes place in Derceto, which is a plantation medical facility outside of New Orleans. You go there. David Harbour's Edward Carnaby is a detective for hire. He is hired by your female protagonist Emily Hartwood to go to Derceto to find her uncle who has gone missing.
You just said so many words that are just like,
yeah. I know.
Like,
I'm setting this up.
No, like you're checking my boxes. You're like detective.
Oh,
okay.
Louisiana, period. You know, it's just like, sorry, I'm just
easy, buddy.
I want to play this game.
I mean,
I don't. Is it good?
Hold me back.
I kind of enjoy it. Like there is definite jank with this game. Like it probably could have used another month or two in the oven just to be safe. But what's here, I think, is fun.
This looks very reminiscent of like the original Resident Evil. Is that accurate? Like pacing wise and like
ease up on the Resident Evil comparisons. Those are heavy combat games.
No, I'm specifically comparing to the first one in the mansion, not the remake. Like the first game, where it's like you could go a while between running into enemies in that original and when you're running around the mansion. And to me, like the pacing was so much slower and so much more deliberate in that first game. It's part of the reason why I adore that game. And
So
this is, I mean, this obviously takes place in a mansion as well, so it's kind of like giving me those vibes.
So the game is kind of split into two alternating kind of design principles. So you have a lot of the game happening in Derceto in the mansion, the
combat, Brad.
plantation mansion, in which you are going around investigating the mansion, finding clues, solving a lot of puzzles, and trying to progress the narrative and find out what happened to Jeremy.
Puzzles.
Yeah. There's
we
a
go.
there's a recurring puzzle that happens very often, which you have to find a way
Ooh.
to go into these alternate levels, which are like Jeremy's memories or fantasies. As he
Well, let me guess, they're blended like seamlessly, so you like open a door and suddenly you're in like a totally different like place.
Absolutely yes.
Shit, add to the list. That's my jam.
That happens
I'm
very
getting
often.
uncomfortable seeing Nick get a boner from this.
There
like,
there actually are a good number of jump
like,
scares based around that mechanic.
You play so many of these, Nick.
I know, and I love it. I love it every time.
I know, but
man. I'm a
it's
sucker
like
for
it's
this
like you're
shit.
hearing about like it's like it's like Nolan's pitching like, hey, there's this new Metroidvania out, Brad. It got a 63, but you love Metroidvanias, and I'm like, I do love Metroidvanias, yeah, but I've also been playing them nonstop for the past several decades. I'm just like, I okay. How's Jody Comer?
That's exactly what's happening.
But I'm just saying, like, what is it the texture quality here? What's tickling your fancy, really?
No, it's I think it's specifically the period piece thing. I am such a sucker for like I think like LA Noire, Mafia 3, not a super well received game, but I loved Mafia 3
You
just
just
because
like
it
the
was a period
fedoras,
piece.
don't you? You're a
I fucking
fedora.
love fedora. I love fucking fedoras. Oh, sorry, I should rephrase that. I love fedora.
Well, I will say right now that Edward Carnaby, he loves his fedora, and a lot of animations are about him keeping the fedora on his head.
What does that mean?
Like his hat will be
the
knocked
fedora
off, and
stays
there will be
on
an
during
animation
sex.
specifically to have him go grab his hat. Like it's
Oh.
part
Do
of
you
his
have
character.
to
actually.
do you have to like walk up to it and pick it up, or can you like leave the hat behind?
No, it's like a cinematic thing, is what I mean.
Ah,
Like
motherfucker.
a lot of cinematics, his hat will get knocked off, and he'll go grab the hat. Anyway,
Gotcha.
Did you ever
Okay.
play The Sinking City, y'all?
I own
did
that game.
not
I own that
because
game,
I heard
and
bad
I
things.
want to.
This
I
seems
want to
like
so bad.
This seems you want to so bad. Okay, no, try.
I'm not hiding my boner anymore, Brad. I'm not gonna
I'm
lie
just saying,
about it
like
anymore.
I get more like Sinking City vibes than something like a Resident Evil game or whatever. But I am glad I'm finally seeing combat here. I suppose. What percentage of the game would you say is combat?
30 to 40%.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
I
more
mean
than I
there
expected,
is
to be
combat,
honest.
and there are plenty of combat encounters. But that's not really the draw of what you're doing. It's kind of like exploring the environment, finding puzzles, solving them, progressing
Like
the
Deadly
narrative, things like
Premonition.
that. I mean, there is a sneaking mechanic in the game to help you minimize your encounters, and it does encourage you to run away when you want. I say when you want because on normal, the game does give you a lot of resources to work with. I haven't tried on higher
Ooh, wait,
difficulties, but
That might be a red flag.
like
So like you're getting an abundance.
I'm never truly hurting
inventory?
for ammo, but there have been moments in which like I'm kind of stressed for my current resources.
See, that is the kind of thing that I hear, and like that's the first thing you've said that make me go, okay, maybe they missed the point a little bit, especially if they're trying really hard to like recreate, like it, because it does seem like as much as inspiration they're taking from Resident Evil 2 remake, it does seem like they're going very much for like Resident Evil 1 specifically in terms of like pacing and tone and scope or something or whatever. But like part of what makes that game and all Resident Evil games of that genre, I would say, so special is like how important it is to manage your inventory. And if you're like never really having to worry about that in a game like this, I don't know, man.
But to me,
don't
isn't
know.
the combat? When I say Deadly Premonition, it's more like combat's that unfortunate thing you have to do that's just getting in the way, not the thing that you want to be like well balanced, right? Is it the thing you just want to get over with, right? So you can get back to the puzzles and story and stuff.
I will say, I mean, like, I think the
seems
combat's
inoffensive.
okay. It's inoffensive. The thing is that I think it's a little too generous to the player. It does have this rather robust dodge mechanic. You press a button, your character
Robust?
does a Alan Wake style kind of dodge maneuver.
Yeah, I saw you doing
that
your little pro dodges.
And like none of your enemies are projectile enemies. So like they're always coming in for the melee strike, and it's so generous
Oh.
that you can dodge well away and be able to turn around and open fire again. There's
just
also
saw
a
a
melee
hex
combat
keeping on
mechanic that
animation.
is based around objects you find in the environment that are breakable. So again, it is very generous. It probably would play better on a higher difficulty level than what I did.
Gotcha. But I mean, like, again, combat does not seem like the thing, right? Like, it doesn't seem like the focus of this game.
No, it's not.
And as long as it's not, for me, is like as far as I see, as long as if it's finding its stride with like the other things that I appreciate about the series, like puzzles and atmosphere and level design, which you haven't really said anything about level design, but like those are the things that I think are truly important. As long as the combat is not actively bad, it
How's
is
the
what it is.
writing and performances?
That's a big question.
I like the performances. I like the writing. I think they're both fun.
I thought they were
David,
fun in that demo, in that whatever you want to call that thing.
I mean, I do like the characterization that they do with each of the characters. I think on the flip side of that argument is that so they're doing the RE2 remake style campaign thing where the characters occasionally meet up and do stuff like that, right?
Yep.
The problem is that the character you're not playing as isn't seeing the horror that's happening in the world, the madness that's taking over Derceto. So like they're met with like, they're like, so a character will see a closet opens up into like this weird freaky dimension area, right? And both characters will be in the room. Your protagonist you're playing as will see what's going on and will like call it out to the other character, and they'll be like, "That's just a closet. Why would you go in a closet?" So
the other
like,
character is like as if it's like basically not experiencing the same thing as the protagonist. As your chosen protagonist.
You're not getting that, and I feel like that's a little bit of a misstep. I don't think they handle that well. I think it would have been better if you had a few more interactions between Emily and Edward.
But as like standalone characters, they're fine.
Yeah, as standalone characters, they're fine. Again, since like Emily is Jeremy's her uncle, so she wants to go there and find him. Edward's just kind of like the sassy detective that has been hired to go help in this investigation. So like their characterization is radically different between the two in their separate campaigns. And I like how they do it. It also feels very again 1929 period piece appropriate. So like the overtones of dialogue and like what they're talking about, what they're saying, like it can feel a little oppressive, it can feel sexist and things like that, but it's appropriate for the time period of
Nick's
the
like,
South Louisiana
the good old
1929.
Yes, there it is. That's the thing. He said
Nick, I feel like you need to do like a dinner theater, like a period piece dinner theater really badly or something, just to get it out of your system.
Like there's a cutscene I recorded footage.
I was a little concerned there might be kind of like celeb. I'm a Hollywood celebrity, so video games are beneath me, and I'm gonna phone in this performance, over like a weekend or half a work week. I'm gonna record my lines and move on with my life. I mean, are they giving it their all, or is it? We've seen
they're making an effort. I don't think they're giving it their all. I think it's just the nature of the story they're choosing to tell. Like, I will say, this game again, it needed a little bit more polish, like another month or so in the oven to really, make it crystal perfect.
You mean 2 years, right? I mean, video game development's weird. I don't think a month is.
It needs polish, but like the dialogue, like I think it works for what's here. I enjoy it. It has that kind of weird oddity of like the NPCs you're interacting with, like they've been exposed to the madness that's going on for much longer than either of our protagonists. So like they'll say weird and disjointed shit, and it doesn't kind of make sense, for our characters to understand. But it's intentional.
Yeah.
I will say my favorite part of the game. So Derceto is the mansion you're exploring. And it has that kind of non-Euclidean architecture sometimes happening. It has those kind of jump scare level transition stuff that happens. And when you unlock a new area, and when you are exploring that area and that non-Euclidean architecture or that environmental change happens, it's kind of cool because it catches you off guard, but more importantly, it alters your perception of the environment.
That was kind of the focus of the demo of that, because there was no combat in that demo. It was all kind of story stuff, but they were trying to show off kind of like the non-Euclidean architecture and like the weird world and like what's going on. And I thought that stuff was effective enough that it piqued my interest.
Yeah. I think it works pretty well. Like I said, I demonstrated in the footage here. It happens a bunch of times throughout the game. I like it. I think this game is pretty all right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like, it makes me want to play like a PS2 or a 360 game, honestly, right? Like, not in like a bad way, kind of like
makes me want to play Resident Evil 1.
Not Resident Evil. Resident Evil's like a big budget, successful blockbuster series.
I'm talking about the original Resident Evil 1. Like
that was too.
I didn't feel that way.
Like, there was, like horror games from, like Call of Cthulhu on Xbox. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like stuff that's like, this is kind of fucked, but it's kind of nice.
This is, and there are lots of these. Like that kind of horror game never went away, and those games never review all that well. But like the people who play them, the people who appreciate them, really do. There are people in our own Discord who swear by the Sinking City. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's. But like this is
cool. But like it also costs the same as Alan Wake 2.
That is the problem. That is maybe a problem. Like here's the deal. Chris Davis, I'm gonna play this, but you know what? I'm probably gonna wait for a sale. Like I'm gonna put this on my wish list. Wait for it to go on sale. I bought it on
sale myself. Like that's okay. One last thing I want to mention.
I'm pretty sure you can only get it on a sale right now, which might not be a good sign, but that's also good for the consumer. On Steam, it's like.
I mean, I got it for $20 off on a coupon, so like whatever. The last thing I want to mention real quick before we move on, again, like RE2 remake, there's an emphasis on replayability here, which is kind of cool. There's a lot of objects in the environment that you can find, which are called, I believe, langulas or something like that. I don't remember what they're exactly called. Starts with an L. You collect them in batches of 3, and they are spread out across both campaigns. Some of them will actually unlock weapons and content you find in the game. Some of them will provide you with like extra narrative explanations of what's going on. Oh, Brad, and this is one thing Brad might like. Every single article and thing you can read in the game is fully voice narrated.
So, here's the real question. Here's the real question.
I do appreciate that.
Here's the real question, and this is, I think, will make the difference in whether Brad appreciates this or hates it. Even though it's voice acted, can you start playing it and then walk around the world while it's reading it to you, or do you have to stay on the screen while it reads it to you?
Nope. Yeah, stay on the screen. You had to compromise there.
Me, Dad.
You can't have everything.
So close.
You can't have everything.
We were so close. God damn it.
Okay, you knuckleheads. I want to see y'all play. Y'all are both going to play this game and love it, and that's great, right? $60. That's fine. But, as the Alone in the Dark stands, who've also loved that 2009 game, y'all should play the 2015 Alone in the Dark Illumination co-op shooter.
I thought they shut it down.
Chris Davis, we should play that together.
Oh, you can't play it anymore?
I thought they shut it down. Like it was supposedly so bad they shut it down.
Alone in the Dark Illumination on stream.
If the game is still available, I will stream that if I can. If Chris Davis wants to play it with me.
Yeah, dude, it's on Steam.
Don't you wish that evil
like a Left 4 Dead or something?
We'll have to do some research.
God, that's so funny.
What?
Remember who I said is like a Alone in the Dark, Mark in our Discord? Anyway, I'm looking at this Alone in the Dark, Illumination, mostly negative on Steam. And I'm looking at one friend recommends against this game. It's Zerby. One friend already owns this game.
Wait, is this mostly negative on the Illumination one?
On the Illumination one, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say. Hi,
That's just
Zerby,
funny.
by the way.
Zerby probably hates this game.
Yeah, but
How
like I
dare
was
you?
trying
How
to finish.
dare you?
There are the items you pick up, the Lagniapis. I don't remember how they're pronounced. Thank you, TX Storm Surge. They can actually unlock secret endings to the game. There's like 5 endings to the game, and some of them you can only unlock by collecting these across both playthroughs. And I like that. That just
I mean,
kind of a cool thing to me.
that's like some classic. I feel like that's some like classic PS1 era survival horror shit, and I'm here for it. Like I love that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you know, I think there is still a place for this. Like, I think comparing this to something like Call of Cthulhu was actually a really smart comparison, and I think there's still absolutely a place for those kinds of horror games. And it's no surprise that they don't review all that. Like, they're not lighting the world on fire, but like I said, the people who really love that kind of like throwback style of a horror game live
if there
for it.
wasn't like a bounty, there is so many cool, interesting horror games in the indie space. So many that do this kind of thing and more and less. There's so many. Like half of all indie games are cool horror games, apparently.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
It's a bit of an ask for
$60.
$60
I mean,
game.
there's a lot out there. Just hit up Carlos and he'll give you like 20 awesome horror games for less than $5. You know,
that is true.
right
He is kind of an encyclopedia of that shit. But I'm glad somebody played it. Thank you, Chris Davis. I did want to hear somebody talk about it before I pulled the trigger. And again, I'm probably going to wait for it to go on sale.
I expected it to be you, Nick. I got to be honest.
I expected it to be me as well.
Curveball.
You got lucky. I'm still playing Persona, which, by the way, let me tell you, I'm closing in on the end of Persona. I have about 2 months left worth of time.
Seems like
in
a
the
lot.
game. I mean, it can be, especially when dialogue sometimes takes fucking forever. But I'm coming for you, Brad. I'm coming for those 4 points. Coming for those 4 points.
4 points. Yeah, you can get them somewhere because you don't have many yet, Nick.
Nope, but I will have 4 soon, and then I'll shift back to Rebirth, and I'll get 1, and then I'll be a 5.
The best, by the way, the best into this minor like Alone in the Dark diversion that we've had here on our podcast is that Nick plays it and goes like, dude, that game was dog shit. What the fuck was Chris Davis talking about? That'd be funny. Probably not gonna happen.
I really don't think that's gonna happen.
This is Nick. He loved Tormented Souls. Okay.
Okay, first of all, I did not love. Whoa, hold on. I did not love Tormented Souls. I loved the way that game is, the design of that game. But some of the other
Resident
shit,
Evil 1.
it was very much like Resident Evil 1. But like some of the other shit in that game is not good. I liked Tormented Souls. Let's just leave it at that. I liked Tormented Souls.
But again, that just beating this game on Metacritic.
I think it just goes to show that like this is a genre. Like I feel like within some genres, some people really appreciate like there's kind of a sweet spot as far as like reception, and if it falls outside of that, they're just like, I'll pass. But like horror games specifically, it's a gulf. If it falls anywhere within this like large range of critical reception, I'll be like,
that is what I noticed.
I'm in.
When the review scores for this dropped, like it seems like the people who were anticipating this game were like, yes, it's like it's not below 60.
Yeah,
like, it's like a big win, which is fine. I mean and you know what, they played it and they liked it and they were right.
Yep.
But I mean, it's kind of like that with like horror films, right? Like no one's expecting it to be some like prestige like film, right? Like it doesn't have to be a successful horror film. I don't think people who are into horror movies are expecting.
I just hope this game. I know you're not going to like this statement, Brad, but I really hope this game does well because Pieces. This game was published by THQ Nordic, which is Embracer. And you know what Embracer's going to do if this game does not do well.
Oh, well, don't make us feel bad. I mean, of course they're going to get shut down if they're Embracer. My God.
Everybody's going to get shut down if they're under Embracer.
But yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Just think about that.
But yeah, there you go. There you have it. Alone in the Dark 2024.
Is it scary?
We never really asked that question. I mean...
I mean, I'm dead inside when it comes to horror games. Like nothing affects me, but I know there's going to be scenes that will affect Nick.
that's the biggest surprise of this whole thing is that Chris Davis decided to play the horror game as someone who just always likes to say, "Oh, I felt nothing when I played this."
I tried to point it out, and people call me.
Uh,
It's fine. It's fine.
yeah, I'll play it. I'll let you know on the actual like spooky front, I suppose. But again, I'm gonna wait until it goes on sale, probably pretty dramatically, at least half off. Probably, I'll wait till it hits 30 or something.
I'll
And
give it a
play
couple months.
Yeah. It's only March. There's plenty of time. Yeah. Okay, before we do 4-player minute, Chris Davis, I know you wanted to talk. Kind of the big buzz that's been happening today, specifically, is we finally got some news. There's been a bunch of preview footage or preview coverage coming out about Judas, which is Ken Levine's first game in what, a decade or over a decade? He from Ghost Trap Studios is the name. Is it or Ghost Story? Ghost Story Studios. This is a game that was actually announced at the Game Awards. Like, was it last year or a year before?
December 2022.
2022. So it's been 2 years. And this very much, like the first time we see it, it's giving some serious BioShock vibes, right? But the other part of this, the whole Ken Levine talking about the next game he's working on, everybody's been kind of patiently waiting for, is, obviously his what do you call it? Yeah, but like
narrative Legos.
His narrative Legos. His buzzword that he's been talking about for ages now is narrative Legos, and I'm sure I personally have not had a chance to go through a lot of this coverage that came out today. I was going to probably do that tomorrow, so I don't know, but I've seen a few people talk about narrative Legos. So this is the game. This is the game that this is going to have the quote unquote narrative Legos that he's been touting for so long.
This is it. This is the 1.0 version of that.
Give us
it might be the 1.05 version, but yeah.
Give us the 10,000-foot view of this. Basically, press were able to go and play 5 hours of the game, 5 or 6 hours.
So to be clear, this was not a preview event.
Right.
This was what should be considered like a level setting event, in which they are coming out and they're saying what this game is going to be, versus like a full organized preview event, which is like a briefing for the press, and you play a little bit and you do interviews and like that. This was just like they brought people in the office, they plopped them on stations and said, have fun, let them play for 5 hours, and then afterwards they did a little bit of press interview stuff with Ken Levine.
Right, and you say a little bit. There's actually been quite a bit. Like I even saw him appear on like a few like smaller podcasts and stuff where he was just talking for like an hour about not just Judas, but he was talking about just kind of like his legacy and talking about BioShock Infinite a lot, I think, and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, this is the floodgates are starting to open on Judas, I guess, is what we're saying.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw.
Remember what I said?
Do you like BioShock? He's about to say, "Do you like BioShock?"
I'm going to throw a lot of adjectives at you. I need y'all to calm down, and I need you to let me get through this. This is very exciting to me. This game is going to be a single-player, procedurally generated
let me get my
BioShock game, based around player reactive narrative design.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, that's a lot of adjectives. Let me break it down. Okay, so
again, this is real quick before you go into this. Remember, everybody, this is what they say it's going to be. This is what we hope they deliver on.
Well, I mean, at this point, like if they can't deliver on those adjectives, then the project is entirely a failure.
Are you saying Ken Levine's a Peter Molyneux? What are you trying to say?
No, and how dare you? So no one wants to. Never go full Peter Molyneux. Everyone, never go full Peter Molyneux.
The important thing, one thing before you get into this is, BioShock Infinite was nothing if not divisive, right? I mean, I really liked that game, but I know a lot of people really hated that game.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it had.
It reviewed well. It just didn't really, it's like a Final Fantasy 16 situation, right?
It didn't set the world on fire, but it did pretty well.
He got away with it. That's a fine way of putting it. He got away with BioShock Infinite. Okay, anyways. Okay. Tell us about Judas.
Okay, this is a game. one adjective I forgot to add in. It is a roguelite. So
I'm listening.
okay, first person game with the art aesthetic and combat design of Irrational Games' BioShock work. Set in space. The whole narrative premise is that, long story short, a billionaire from the modern day used AI LLM technology to look at the biological data of everyone in the world and use that to predict like what's coming for humanity and things like that. He figured out that a plague is coming to wipe out our species. So he cashed in he's a philanthropist, so he cashed in all of his resources to build a generation ship to take a portion of humanity to Proxima Centauri, which is the next closest Earth-like star in the galaxy, the Milky Way. It is 4 light years from Earth, so that's why it's a generation ship. It will take decades, if not hundreds of years, to reach Proxima Centauri.
Okay.
He, in trying to keep the remainder of human society together, he created this civilization based around a caste system. The caste system is based on social credit status. I think you understand where I'm going.
I want to remind you, Chris Davis, you did say long story short.
Yes, I'm giving you the long story short.
God.
The entire organization of the society is based around popularity.
Yes.
So your social credit, like what you've heard about overseas, like if you are following the norm and saying things that people like, your status in society rises. So you become what's known as a pilgrim. If you are saying things that are seen negatively by society, you are considered a violator and you are thrust down in society.
And this is all this society exists on this ship?
On this ship. On this ship called the Mayflower.
Oh my god.
The entire thing is run by the big 3. These NPCs that you've seen in the marketing. You have Sheriff Tom, who is Troy Baker. You have Nefertiti or Neffy, who is there, and then you have the other girl. Her name is Hope. They are a family, and at the beginning of the game, or sometime shortly before, they realize they're not human. They find out that they're actually robots. And your main character, whose name is Judas, she does something. You don't know what it is. She has amnesia, but whatever it is, it fucks up the Mayflower. And she doesn't know what happened. She doesn't remember why. All she knows is that everyone on the ship now hates her. All the survivors on the ship hate her. And she has to work with one of these 3 characters to find her way off the Mayflower before it's destroyed.
Okay. I like the premise.
Yes.
We got there. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I had to set that up because it's a lot. And it's also incredibly interesting to me. So the whole run through this game is that it is a procedurally generated roguelite, in which Judas is exploring the Mayflower, what remains of it, trying to get her memories back and find a way off the ship with the cooperation of one of these 3 characters. Each of these 3 characters have a different philosophy after being discovering that they're actually robots. Like Hope herself, like she was like the counselor for the ship. She maintained the social cohesion, right? When she found out she was a robot, she went into utter despair mode and like started tearing off her skin and like her limbs to expose that she is an android. So she has this whole dystopian outlook that like she wants you to help her so she can end her life because her software will not allow her to commit suicide. And then you've got the others like Sheriff Tom, who's trying to maintain things as best as possible to get humanity to Proxima Centauri. Then you have Nefertiti, who realizes that maybe humanity shouldn't survive. What if I was able to convert everyone into perfect robots? So like 3 different disparaging outlooks, and you're constantly at war, competing and cooperating with one another to progress to the end game.
Real quick, the roguelite element of this, I guess.
Yes.
Because roguelite tells me you're like doing runs.
Yes.
So what's the run? Like what's right? So how does this translate into a run?
So this is a roguelite survival game.
Okay.
It's not like BioShock, in which you have the Vita chambers and you constantly have a replenishing amount of health, and you can find health everywhere. No, there is no health in this game. There is, per area, there is 1 health station, maybe.
Okay.
So you will die, and you will die quite often. They're not detailing what the death mechanic is for coming back and why you come back and how the roguelite element works. But there is a significant roguelike element that's tied into the narrative.
See, I find that interesting because if people, because people went and played 5 hours of this game, I feel like that question should, unless they were told they can't talk about that, which I feel like would be very difficult to talk about if that's like the crux of the entire game and you played it for 5 hours. You know what I mean?
I mean, they didn't go.
Are people talking about their experiences out there?
Yeah, there's like
that's the whole point of this.
2.5 hour podcast by people from GameSpot talking about it with an hour-long interview with Ken Levine.
Which is just like, how do you talk about a game like that?
There are things that I think they might be under NDA and they're not allowed to talk about. I think there's also just some stuff they don't want to talk about because they don't want to spoil it. And I think the death mechanic is one of those things.
It just seems like one of those things. Like eventually, if you want to get people on board with this and you really want to sell people on the concept, you're gonna kind of have to pull the curtain back on that a little bit, because I feel like that sounds like that's going to be a pretty important aspect of the game that people should probably understand going in. Especially if people are maybe not like super keen on roguelites in general. You know what I mean? Like people who have never played a roguelite.
Use those words, right? Are they?
No,
using
they use
terminology?
the word roguelite and prominently in talking about this game.
Okay.
But a lot of people are looking at this and probably going, "Oh my god, it looks like BioShock. I love BioShock." But like, I feel like you kind of maybe need to understand how roguelites work and know what you're getting into, or you're going to have a lot of people being maybe a little upset, like feeling like they've been,
I guess. I mean, people
misled
love
a little bit.
I mean, this is why they were holding this event,
probably
to level set and talk about what this game
BioShock
is.
Infinite.
I mean, you're right. So, and again, I haven't personally gone over any of this preview footage, but it does sound really, really cool.
So here's what I think is the coolest thing about this game. This is where the narrative Legos come into the game.
Yes, the
that
Legos.
You have to work with one of the 3 characters to escape the Mayflower. When you interact with those characters, they function a lot like a viable version of Johnny Silverhand from Cyberpunk 2077. In that they are projected out into the environment, but they're more than just interacting with you. They're helping you in combat and puzzle design and encounters and things like that.
Okay.
Flip side, because you are maintaining your allegiances and interactions with them, if you devote more time to one of the characters versus the other 2, they will start trying to convince you to join their side and help them out with their objectives for a while. And they may even become antagonists and direct resources on the ship to attack and prevent you from progressing with the other character. They will even, like, you'll spend a bunch of time with like one character, and another one will come on and say, "Hey, listen, I know you are interacting with this person and you're talking with them. This is what they're really like. This is
start
why
to plant
you
the
should
seeds
not
of
work with them."
deception.
So you get deception, but you also get character backstory, and you learn more about the world and things like that from these interactions. There's one particular piece of footage in which you've evidently been working with either Neffy or Hope for a while, and the player goes to get to a resource station, and Sheriff Tom pops in, closes the door in front of the player, locks them out of it, and sicks a bunch of his robot deputies on you. Things like that.
That's You know, my first reaction when I saw this game, which obviously, as someone who loves Bioshock games, all the Bioshock games, I was like, and the fact that we haven't gotten Bioshock 4 yet, which has been rumored for so fucking long at this
Very
point.
long.
I saw this and I was like, okay, I love Bioshock. This looks like Bioshock. I'm in. But on one hand, I was also kind of like, I'm a little disappointed because of how much it looks like Bioshock. And like Ken Levine has not made a game in like 10 years. This is not Irrational. He's broken off to make it. Like, how do you break off from Irrational and then go and end up making something that looks just like the game that you just made? But like now that we're hearing more about it, it definitely does seem way more ambitious than I was kind of assuming.
But that's
But that's
it's
the
still
dangerous
like
part.
it's still the
Little Peter
you know,
Molyneux going on there, just a little
it
bit.
all it's not even that. It also
little
sounds
bit.
like I feel like the flowery language makes it sound so. It also kind of sounds like he spent the last 10 years making a Way of the Samurai game. It it doesn't actually seem.
I mean, here's the thing: is that
you're you're
I
talking
think
about the marketing is going to make it sound bigger than it is, but like on the
Always.
facts of like what this, it's a roguelike, a game where you can make different choices and have different relationships as you play, doesn't actually sound like this groundbreaking thing that
I think
Well,
hasn't
maybe it
it's
sounds. I
been
think it
done
sounds
before.
maybe.
And if it
I
just
think it
plays like
sounds.
Bioshock,
I think it sounds more ambitious when you come at it from the perspective of, if you look at this as like a Bioshock spiritual successor, it seems really ambitious because Bioshock was never really that. It didn't have
Yeah.
a lot of those kinds of elements. It was kind of
So-
like more straightforward
yeah,
and more of a
true.
first-person shooter. This seems like it's definitely going
So-
bigger than that, but also not groundbreaking in the sense of like we play a lot of video games and a lot of games have tried these kinds of things before.
So what they're talking about with the narrative
Narrative late narrative Negos.
narrative
Narrative
Legos.
Legos.
The idea they have is that none of this is AI generated. This is all just bespoke written content that's broken up into what voice actors call barks. So they'll
Arcs.
I mean that's what they call it, in which there's very short bits of dialogue that are sewn together. Like if you play a first person shooter and you have an AI partner call out enemy 130 meters out carrying this weapon, such, those are barks that are strung together of things they say to form sentences, prepositions, things like that.
Yeah.
So they take that idea and they flesh that out into the narrative, and it's all about how those narratives interact between the various characters, how they string them together. And that's where you get like this proposal of massive potential replay value with unique experiences for each player in how this event and this dialogue can influence the player into doing XYZ and how they all tie together in a web.
No, it sounds really
Like
cool.
their
but it's
whole
also one of those things I
idea-
feel like you have to kind of like see in action. You know what I mean?
Levine was really talking about like how in Bioshock and in Bioshock Infinite, how the player did not have much narrative agency going on. Like, would you kindly, that was a twist, but that didn't actually influence how the player interacted with the game, right? And in Bioshock Infinite, how Elizabeth herself like would react to what the player does and what the player says, but those are scripted sequences that the player has very little influence on. The whole idea here is that the narrative and how they present these interactions are based on what the player does. And that's a whole other ballpark, man. That's what they're
It sounds
proposing here.
Gravitas to the way you're saying that sentence, but it also, we played Baldur's Gate 3 last year, which is like this like fucking landmark RPG where you're constantly making choices and it's constantly reacting to the player, and no playthrough's the same, and people on their fucking 8th playthrough are seeing things that are completely new. What I'm saying is, outside of like the terminology they might be using and the gravitas that people are I think we're gonna need to play this fucking game, honestly, because the story sounds cool and the setup sounds cool, but nothing you're saying beyond that actually sounds like this
I do.
groundbreaking
Well,
thing
here's the
at
thing.
all.
Here's the
even.
thing. This is one thing you got to remember. This is a game that has. I don't know how long it's actually been in development, but it's probably. I mean, he left Irrational like 10 years ago, right after
Yeah.
Infinite came out. So like when he
Even
first
more.
dreamed this up, it probably was a bit more groundbreaking than maybe it sounds now. Especially now that it's finally going to release in a post Baldur's Gate 3 world, which is kind of disappointing. I feel like that maybe took the wind out of his sails a little bit
Well,
in
it took
terms
the
of
wind out of everybody's sails. Really.
right, but like
Yeah.
that's not really a bad thing. I think, but I
No.
think going into something like this and maybe using Baldur's Gate 3 as the reference point is just kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. I think it's more
very much
impressive
so.
to think about it.
It's not even that. All I'm saying is like these concepts may have sounded like interesting when he was pitching them 10 years ago, but now like not just Baldur's Gate, but like all kinds of indie games do all kinds of like ambitious shit with like narrative
Sure.
design like that. You know, like fucking uh fucking Jesus Christ, I'm blanking.
Fucking Jesus.
The strategy RPG I played a couple of years ago that has the story is procedurally
Wartale?
generated as you play. My God, Wildermyth. My God,
Wildermyth,
Oh,
there we go.
Like that.
Thank you,
That did like
Carlos.
We got
groundbreaking,
there.
like narrative stuff. Like I'm just saying, I want to play this thing. I want to
No,
see footage. Like podcasts with like official interviews and stuff. I'm gonna be until I'm really seeing this thing and really seeing like certain people saying things about this kind of game. I'm not. I'm going to be skeptical, and I think that's fair. After all this time, after Bioshock
It is.
Infinite, after the stuff that Ken Levine's been saying for 10 years, I think it's fair to be a little skeptical. They need to put up or shut up, or they need to show don't tell.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
and
I-
I think that's fair. I think everything Chris Davis has said is fair too. I mean, I think it sounds exciting. I think the big takeaway for me is that this now that we're actually seeing it, it does seem like it's way more. It's more than just a straightforward like BioShock successor, which is kind of what I thought it was going to be, especially after that first trailer. So
Oh,
this
I mean,
is
I'm glad it's more than just another Bioshock.
no, I am
game,
too.
but
I am too. I was a little
I
disappointed
don't
at
think you
first
could
because
have
like
gotten away with
I was
that.
like Judas seems pretty cool, but let's be honest, it just looks like he's circling back around to System Shock again.
Yeah.
And Brad, to your point of show don't tell, I mean that's like every major game announcement that ever comes out, is they always promise such big things, and I don't want to say they rarely deliver, but I mean,
Yeah. I mean, true. It's just this guy and this specifically has been such a
yeah,
long
that's
time.
true. That's
And
true.
like he's been using narrative Legos for 10 years, the quote unquote narrative
Mhm.
Legos for 10 years. And a lot has happened in the last 10 years. And, he is a bit of a Peter Molyneux at this point. He's not Peter Molyneux, right? But he is someone who promised a lot with Bioshock Infinite. And by the time Bioshock Infinite came out, you're just like, well, it didn't have a lot of this cool shit that we thought was going to be in here that was even in some of the demos that we've seen, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, it in some of the stuff that people saw behind closed doors early on. So he's
Well,
got a lot to prove.
let,
That's why
let
I'm
me
going to
let me
be a
close
little
on
skeptical. But
let me close on one more thing.
Okay.
He was talking up in his interviews about like why it took 10 years. I mean, other than this fact that it was a lot of iteration and testing and trying out new concepts and writing and a lot of writing. He was talking about how 2K or Take Two specifically realizes that what the landscape looks like for the industry today, and that they need to invest in new IP and they need to invest in new technology. And what the way he was talking about it is that Take Two let them have the time to develop this new technology so they can use it in more projects, more other things. Like
They were playing the long game.
he was
Like the
he was
Nemesis
putting
system.
heavy praise on the Nemesis
Nemesis.
system from Shadow of Mordor.
wow.
And it sounds like Take Two wants to take this technology and use it as a cornerstone foundation for future games that aren't Ghost Story.
But isn't that what Take Two said about the actual Nemesis system?
Well, that's WB.
I
first
feel-
off.
Orc
I
Legos.
guess you're right.
Orc Legos, they called them.
Orc Legos. Okay, that's a great point. I do think we need to move on. But yeah, I will try and remember to post the link to maybe some of these interviews in the show notes or whatnot, because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about and that Chris Davis is kind of summarizing here is just a 10,000 foot view of like all this preview coverage that dropped
It's a lot.
today. So
And
I'll
it's
post a
really
few key
fucking
ones in
cool.
the show notes if you're curious, but it does sound cool. I'm very much looking forward to actually watching the coverage myself and playing the game. So we'll see how they go. Do they give any kind of inkling about when we should expect this? It's probably a ways away, right? Or maybe I
He was
shouldn't
very
say
Are you
that.
talking about
cagey.
asking for fantasy critic reasons?
Yes.
He would
Yes.
he would not rule out 2024, but he would not give even a release year on this.
That's probably a
how
smart move.
like crushed.
But given
Nick,
the
would you be
fact,
if this
given the fact
launches in
that
early access.
no, this won't be early access. There's no way.
I mean, how could you do that after 10 years in development?
No. But here,
Why not?
I mean, here's the thing: is that this build, like they have gotten their production pipeline to the point to where they can rapidly inject and iterate and produce new builds. Like this 5-hour build uses content that was made only a few weeks ago. They're able to get that out that fast. And if they're able to have a 5-hour
Like South
long
Park.
playable build for the public to experience, like
Yeah.
that tells me it's probably much further along than most people think.
Well, it has been 10 years, so I think the hope would be that we're getting pretty close.
It's been 3 weeks, Nick.
Anyways, let's go ahead and
Bill was-
wrap up. Let's go ahead and wrap up the 4-player minute. We're coming up on, or we're
I
well
got a
over.
quick one. I got a quick one.
All right,
This
pick,
guy.
pick us off, Brad.
I just want to shout out to Slice and Dice 3.0 finally came out. I've been playing the game I've been playing for a year or two at this point was 2.0, and I've always called it like the perfect phone game. I rotate between Slay the Spire, Slice and Dice, and Into the Breach. Still the perfect trio. 3.0 is out now. It's finally out on iOS and Steam now. And like 3.0 adds a lot of actually new shit. I still think it's the perfect phone game. So if you have an iPhone or whatever, definitely, or a Steam Deck, this would be good on Steam Deck. But if you have a phone, just play it on your phone because it's perfect for a phone. Just an awesome deck builder, dice-based roguelike. I mean, if you like Slay the Spire, that sort of thing, highly recommend Slice and Dice
Cool.
by TANN 3.0. It's out. It's cool. Get it.
Sweet.
Get it.
All right, I'm gonna throw it over to Nolan now.
Alrighty, my 4-player minute starts now. So slightly less video game related, a couple things. We ended up going to DC this past week to see the cherry blossoms that were in bloom.
Ooh.
So it was actually very nice. I mean, I guess I say not game related. I did play Pokemon when I was there, but yeah, it was nice to kind of walk around the. We were near the Jefferson Memorial, and
I'm glad you got
MLK
to see them because they're
Memorial.
not going to be there for much longer.
Oh yeah, and so but it was nice. I've always seen photos and stuff like that, and so it was nice to go and see them.
Wait, what's not gonna
and
be there
then-
anymore? The Jefferson Memorial or the trees?
The trees.
Oh, I thought this was like Thomas Jefferson statues are coming down and Chris Davis ain't happy about it.
Yes, that's what I
Oh,
thought.
How
for a
dare you
second.
take our
Oh,
Confederate
God.
heroes? Well, he wasn't a Confederate hero, but you know what I'm talking about.
Well,
Mm.
so Chris Davis, are you referring to climate change or the actual removal of the trees?
The actual removal of the trees.
Okay, yes, because yes, they are removing some because there's issues with climate change and rising tides. But because it is in a like an inlet, I forget what it's called, but it's during like high tide, like it actually starts coming up. But anyway, regardless, other non video game related stuff. We finally got a fence at our house. We've not had a fence for the entire time we've been here, and so so I can finally take the dogs in the backyard to play.
Nolan can
Stardew
finally walk
Valley.
around. Nolan can finally walk around his backyard completely naked.
Well, so it's not a privacy fence is the only thing.
Oh, okay, never
Um,
mind.
Yeah, so I don't think I could get away with that. But
Well, how close is your neighbor?
I mean,
Close enough.
close enough. Yeah. I mean, they don't need binoculars if that's what you're asking. But so
Well, Are they trying to see your penis or not? Because
Brad, that was the joke, Brad. I was making the
Oh.
joke that they didn't need the binoculars.
They don't need
Okay.
binoculars. They need a telescope.
Damn.
Gotcha.
And so,
Microscope.
getting to play with the dogs in the backyard has been fun. All of that being said, yes, I did put up Dragon's Dogma. While I am enjoying it, I do have a couple of issues. To Chris Davis's point from earlier, I'm hoping a lot of those are more the technical things that can be addressed with patches. I'm still going to continue to play it though because it's still, I'm still enjoying it a whole lot.
I think they have a patch coming here pretty quick.
They do,
I
and
think the
it
patch
addresses
includes a
some
ray
things.
tracing toggle, which they didn't have the option to turn off ray tracing before. I guess.
Yeah, it was.
Should be nice. Yeah.
They've made
nice
some
in the
interesting
console version.
choices. Yeah. But yeah, that's it from me.
Cool. Chris Davis, final thought?
Final thought? Well,
He's
Brad,
smiling. I can see
I'm
it.
doing
It's
it.
coming.
I
Don't
started
do it.
Unicorn Overlord today or yesterday.
Oh.
You doubted me. You didn't think I'd fucking do it, but I did. I'm just about to
Wait.
rescue Scarlet.
I didn't doubt that you would play it.
Yes,
I
you
doubt
did.
that
You
you-
fucking said last time, like, I had it on my shelf here. He's like, dude, he's never gonna unwrap that. Like,
What?
no.
No, this is fiction. No, the narrative has been that I'm sorry, bro, this ain't 13 Sentinels. The story's mid, and it's not that kind of game. That's been the narrative. It's more just I'm sorry.
Well,
it's
I am
just a Brad
thoroughly
game.
enjoying it. Let me tell you.
It is really good.
It's quite good. I'm really liking how they're setting up. I love how much the game makes you feel like you're making progress because every single stage battle happens on the same overworld. So like when you go between finishing a match and the beginning of the match going backwards, like you feel your progress because you have to travel far.
Yeah, it's very
Really does a good job of
it's
translating that to the
It's
player.
got a big world. It's cool. I like it a lot.
It is.
I play it every day.
Yeah, I am
Every
very
day.
glad that I got to play this. So just throwing that out there.
Cool.
Also, in theaters Friday, Godzilla. Like, go see Godzilla.
Didn't we just get a Godzilla? I'm just kidding. I know the
Well, I
difference.
It's
feel like there's
always a
Godzilla,
good
like, all
time to
the
be a
time.
Godzilla fan, Nick.
I got a coworker talking about this Monarch show. Did you watch that, Chris Davis?
Yes.
Of course he did. Of course
It was
he
Is
did.
that
okay.
a Godzilla show?
Yes, it is.
I don't know that
Godzilla
one.
is in it.
No.
I mean,
Godzilla's
I'm
right.
gonna be real. He's Chris Davis is not wrong. If you happen to be a Godzilla fan, you're eating really well right now. There's a lot of Godzilla content. A lot of it out there is decent to excellent. So I'm very happy.
Not for
you.
Godzilla gamers though.
No, definitely not Godzilla gamers.
No, Toho's not going to invest the money on that anymore. They don't trust the gamers.
Yeah, they don't.
Quite frankly,
let's
who
be
could blame
real.
them?
Let's be real. Gamers can't be trusted. Okay,
No.
my turn. I'm going to keep this real brief. I just want to share my frustration. There are rumors. Albeit rumors. Nothing here is confirmed yet. So this could still change. But apparently, the new IP that Sony Bend, the studio behind Days Gone, one of my favorite games of all time, the new IP that they are working on, that they were basically, they said they were told, no, you can't make Days Gone 2. And then they were put on this other new IP. Apparently, it is a live service game.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little crushed. I'm a little fucking crushed. I love that studio. I love that game in particular. And I was like, even though I was really crushed that they were told they can't make Days Gone 2, I was still excited to hear them say that, oh, well, we are going to work on a new IP, and that's always exciting. And then after all this kind of like, Sony's big kind of like starting to pivot away from live service games, I was kind of hoping, well, there was never really any inkling up until this point that the game they were working on was live service. But apparently it's strongly rumored that it is in fact a live service game, and it has not been affected by this pivot. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying
there have been great live service games that have come from really good narrative single player designers, like Ninja Theory's Bleeding Edge.
Okay, well, you're being a smartass now. But I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that like just by default because it's a live service game, it's going to suck. It's just kind of disappointing because even no matter how good of a live service game it is, I just don't. I know myself, and I just know I'm probably not going to allow myself to really get lost in that game, in that world, whatever it happens to be,
Yeah.
just
The
organically, because I
I'm with
just
you,
don't
man.
do that. I just don't do that.
Can you
Um,
believe Suicide Squad came out like a month ago or 2 months
Hmm.
ago, and we have so moved on with our lives. This was Rocksteady. This is the Arkham games. This was Rocksteady,
it's
and like
really
they're
crazy.
like, well, we're making a live service game, and we're all like, no, please don't do that. And they're like, but this is the future. And then they did it, and it came out, and everyone said, fuck this game, and no one played it, and we all moved on with their lives. And it's such like a no one cares anymore. It's such like horrible business decision, whatever. And it's like, but like the thing is, our hearts don't even care, and that
On a
is the
subconscious level,
worst part, maybe.
on a subconscious
Like,
level, I feel like everyone, the community as a whole, is like, the faster we stop caring, the faster we stop talking about it, the faster it just kind of fades into the background, the
just go away.
faster
I don't know.
Rocksteady will be able to move on to the next thing, which we know will not be this, because they would never be told to do this again, right? So maybe this is all, maybe this
Oh,
is a good thing that we've already forgotten about it. Like,
ain't a good thing, man. This hurts.
I mean,
It
not a
sucks.
good thing. Maybe not a good thing.
I tell you
I'm trying
what,
to find a silver lining here.
the painful thing today for me in reading this news was that as this was being announced or being quote unquote revealed, um, a
You mean the
Marvel game
rumor?
announcement was made
Oh
at almost the
yeah.
exact same time
Yeah.
for an
Ugh.
Overwatch clone.
Oh
Um,
god, we forgot to talk about that.
Which one?
Sorry.
Huh?
So there's two things. One, the thing Chris Davis is talking about is a Marvel game is going to be announced tomorrow. That is apparently a live service game in the style of Overwatch.
The
That's
Amy
like,
Hennig one?
no. We didn't
no,
talk about the Amy Hennig thing, which is we finally got our first look at the 1943, the period piece, Black Panther,
Nick.
Captain America game with Amy Hennig.
Mhm.
Ooh, I am here for that. I know nothing about what that game actually is, other than period piece, Black Panther, Captain
I hope it's
America,
like
Amy Hennig.
XCOM or something.
Uh,
Just,
I mean, I
just don't
doubt
want to
that's what
punch
it.
dudes as Captain America. I just want
I
to.
I want to punch dudes as Black Panther. I want to run across the rooftops of 1943 Paris, France as Black Panther. That
Paris, France.
sounds fucking awesome to me. So that's my second part. That's the happy part of my 4 player minute. Sad part is that I'm really nervous about the future of Bin Studio with this
Of
news.
video games.
Yes, the future of video games. Yes, I was a little crushed about the future of video games. Um,
Twisted Metal got canceled.
Twist, yes, a live service Twisted Metal game was in fact canceled. That is sad. And with that, guys, that is our show this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. 4playernetwork.com is of course where you can find all of our episodes. Oh, public service announcement. I should have said this at the very top of the show,
this is
but I
important.
didn't. I
Listen
completely
up.
forgot. This is very important. I cannot believe they're doing this, but Google, if you happen to listen to podcasts using Google's podcast service, which is how I listen to podcasts, they're phasing it out on April 2nd. You will no longer be able to use it. They're trying to get people to like migrate to YouTube as a podcast service, which I don't understand. I don't like that. That's weird. It's dumb. I'm not going to do that myself. But if you happen to use that app and you subscribe to our show,
Google. Huh?
start looking for an alternative. So maybe we would hate to lose your listenership or hate to lose your subscription because of fucking Google in this
It's like
case.
tied to other. Is that something that's like tied to other apps, or is it everything
No,
just
I
has
mean
its own?
it's just like Google's equivalent of like Apple Podcasts. It's just a really good app for like housing all that. It uses RSS feeds to populate all the podcasts. You can subscribe to them. You could
Okay,
it's
but
just,
there's
and
like a
manage
million of
everything.
those, right?
There's a million of them. But there's a
Okay.
handful of really good
Yeah.
ones, and I thought that was one of the really good ones. And since I don't have a Apple device, I can't
I
use
use
Apple Podcasts. We are on
Podcast
Spotify.
Republic.
I will
Seems
say
good.
this. Great, that's a great recommendation. I will say this too. I had a couple people bring this up in Discord asking, "Have you considered going on Spotify?" I want to remind everybody, we are on Spotify. If you use Spotify, we are there. We are on a lot of services. In fact, if you use one of if you happen to use like iHeartRadio, we're on iHeartRadio. We're like on all these things. I think Amazon.
iHeartRadio.
Yeah, we're on all like the service that we use to like distribute our podcast. It disseminates it to a
We're
bunch
on
of different
Libsyn.
services.
We're on
We are on-
Libsyn. Check out Libsyn.
We are. I mean, that Libsyn is our that's our host, Brad. That's our podcast host. They distribute our podcast to everywhere else.
Yes.
So yes, we are on Libsyn, but nobody
So just
nobody
go on
uses
your little
Libsyn to like listen to
store
shows.
on your phone and type in podcast app, and you'll find us.
If you go to 4playernetwork.com/podcast, you'll find a bunch of stuff about subscribing to our show. Just know that Google is going away, or Google's podcast thing is going away on April 2nd. So if you use that, start finding an alternative. We would hate to lose your listenership or your subscription because of this. Ask
like
Jeeves,
us,
fuck
our
it.
podcast.
Ask anybody. God, I should have said that should have been the first thing out of my mouth when I started the show, because no, half the people listen to our show don't make it this far. Okay.
No.
True.
Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. If you're not in our Discord, we'd love to have you. It's discord.gg/4player. And we will be back next week. Maybe talk Rise of the Ronin, talk more Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm sure there'll be more news, more games to talk about. So in the meantime, y'all be safe out there. Be good to each other. Play video games. And good night.
Bye.
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 Bye, buddy. I hope you find your dad.
Boom.
I did start playing Rise of the Ronin, and let me tell you, it doesn't.
Rise.
It's gonna take a while to get used to. It definitely doesn't feel like
It's more of a
Neo
half chub.
or even Wolong. It feels
You say half chub?
Yeah.
different.
Chris.
It's like a stealth game. You might actually like this game, Nick. It's
Didn't
like
I say that and you were like
do you ever wish Assassin's Creed
yes.
was more of like a stealth game?
Yes, all the time. All the fucking time. Yes, I do. I do wish that, in fact. So, I think Rise of the Ronin is one of those things, too. Like, I would like to find time to play it this year, but I'm probably going to wait for a sale on that one, too.
Hey, man, as long as you get your points. I'm proud of you. You're going to finish your first Persona game. Your first non-Final
Yay.
Fantasy JRPG.
I beat the if you've played Persona 3, I beat the 12th Shadow 2 nights ago.
Okay.
So I am now I'm almost done with November. So I have December and January to go. Let me tell you, if I didn't already know that game runs through January, I would be super pissed, because like the entire like couple days leading up to that 12th Shadow, they're like, make sure you're ready. This is the final battle. They say it over and over and over again. If I had beaten that boss and then found out that I didn't actually just finish the game, I'd flip a table.
So let me ask you, are you like a Persona stan now? You know, you die for these characters.
No.
You know, you.
I don't think so. No, I mean,
No.
But so like
I
how
like the
much
characters.
of this game are you? If it wasn't for this weird little challenge thing that came up, do you think you may have put this one down and just been like, this is nice, but maybe I'm gonna try some.
well, here's the
other things.
thing. Here's the thing. I have always liked Persona to the point where I've like I want to be able to say I've finished a Persona game. Like I like these enough, and I feel I have felt bad about putting down 4 and putting down 5. So I was like, if I'm gonna start another one, regardless of the reasoning, I'm gonna finish it. I want
You're
to
not gonna
finish
pick
a
up the
Persona
dancing game or the
No.
fighting
And
game.
like I said, my interest in 6 will largely kind of depend upon what it looked like. Like, what is it? Like, what's the concept? Like, you're really gonna have to sell me on it, because the
No, they
format
won't.
is.
It's gonna be the most stylish, coolest thing you've ever seen in your life. What are you talking about? I think I said this to you last week, but what are you talking about?
Let me tell
There's
you.
not
Let
a
me tell you.
person on the planet who's going to see the reveal.
No,
of
no, no, no. I'm not
Persona
talking about. I'm not
6
talking about that
and not
physically.
say like that's the sickest shit I've ever seen.
No, no, no. Listen,
because
listen,
that
listen.
happens every time.
I'm not saying like they need to sell me on the way it looks. Like, I'm saying like I don't know if I'm really fully on board for playing another game that's structured like this again.
Okay,
It's a lot.
I want to remember this conversation when Persona 6 is revealed.
Please
I want
do.
you to
No, no,
remember
no.
the words
Please
you
do.
spoke.
Hey, I hope I eat my words. But let me tell you, there's something about the way these characters talk that kind of drives me crazy.
What
Thank
the
you for
heck?
the gifted sub.
I mean, it's okay. Maybe not the way they
Thank you.
talk, because the voice acting is great.
Anonymous.
It's the I think it's the
Must
writing.
be
I
an
think-
Alone in the Dark fan.
I think some of the writing really throws me off in Persona, because
The
like
writing?
just like some of the stupid conversations they have, and like people don't talk like this. Like nobody has conversations like this.
Easy,
it's just,
buddy. You're trying to earn points this year for your
It
not
dri-
racist.
it drives me crazy, man. It's like I don't know, but at the same time, I really like a lot of these characters. I do think it's incredibly creepy how much like high school student teacher relationship stuff is happening. Like the number of like time, like
Yeah.
there's multiple characters who are like trying to like there's one student who's trying to ask out his teacher, but like don't tell anybody because we're not supposed to be in a relationship, but we are, which is like I should call the police is what I should do. And then there's another character who
Yeah.
the girl that you're talking to online, who is basically talking like she admits that she's a high school teacher, that she's your high school teacher. She doesn't know that it's you, and she's talking about how she's into you, but she doesn't know that she's talking to you, but she's basically saying, I'm really into one of my students. You know what I mean? And it's just like this is getting really weird, and I don't know how I feel
Weird?
about this.
You mean provocative?
No, it's so creepy. Like if these were college students, it would make all the difference in the world. But we're talking about like
Yeah, but you
what
gotta
appears to be like
understand
a
this is
like
also a video game where it's the teenagers who are horny and the teenagers who are probably playing the game, and you're the grown ass man now who's like, "Oh, this is inappropriate."
no, I get that. No, I get that.
When you were in high school, you were like, "I want to
But
bang the hot teacher." You
I
know?
know, but like, but
Nowadays,
there's a
niggas like
but here's the
dancing
problem.
as a
Brad.
sin.
But Brad, no. Here's the problem. Yeah, sure. When I was in high school, sure, there was probably plenty of situations where I was like, "Dang, that teacher's hot." But like, listen. These are adults making the game. Like they had to dream this up and write it. Like it's like when you look at it from that perspective, it's just fucking weird. I don't know. I feel like if like
I mean, you're
haven't
not
we always
wrong
talked
there.
about?
I mean, but
Haven't
that's
we
a lot of
always?
stuff that involves,
Haven't we talked about like
teenagers
wanting
and school
Persona
days.
to just like why don't they just make these college students like what make a Persona game set in college? It would be
Yeah.
it would be just
Still, Nick, I
above the
hate to
line
break
that
it to you. Big 4-0's coming up for you in a couple
off.
years. M- eh, them being like just in college ain't that much better. I mean,
No.
legally, certainly
It's
better.
legally, it's
But it's
certainly
also
better. Yeah.
still a little
And, like,
creepy.
I'm not even shitting you. Like
They're college.
I think his name
now.
is
Let's fuck everyone.
I think his name is Kenji, right? He's one of the characters.
Kenji,
Like
yeah.
he's obsessed with his teacher wanting to like ask her out on a date or whatever. And then at some point he kind of implies that he went through with it and now they're in a secret relationship. And he keeps talking about how like they're hanging out at home together, like alone. And the moment he said that, I was like, I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. And I haven't talked to him at all. His social link stopped growing. He texts me like every day, and I'm just like, nope, sorry, I'm out. This is weird. I'm not into it.
Nice.
Also, for a second, I thought I was gonna be like a big like man whore, and I was gonna like start like because like I maxed out a social link right with Yuko, and I told her that I love her, so I entered into a relationship, right? And then I haven't heard from her since that happened. Like.
Oh.
Like the next day was like a Sunday, so like there was no school, and I was like, oh, now I'm gonna start hearing from her more. We're probably gonna be like have opportunities to hang out more, whatever. No, haven't heard from her since this happened. And then all of a sudden, all these other girls are starting to express their feelings for me, and I'm like, I held this other girl's hand, and I'm like, maybe I should just do this. Maybe I should just do
man
this.
Whore.
Maybe I should just do
Lusting
this.
after
And then
all the different teenage
and then
high school girls.
And then I hit the point where like I had the opportunity to like tell another girl that I love her, and I chickened out.
Son of a bitch.
I said we're just friends.
She was only a sophomore. Is that why?
That's fucked up.
I mean, am I wrong?
I think they're all in the same grade, bro.
No, they're not. There's
Seniors for
definitely
18.
a few years between some of them here and there.
That's fair. Look, I'm just saying. There's a few things about the game that kind of creep me out, but overall, it's a really cool game. I'm really enjoying it.
But Yakuza's too out there for you. So weird, Nick. I hope you discover something about yourself this year. Finally, playing some Japanese games.
Like what?
you're a pedophile.
What the fuck?
What the?
I'm just
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
Got that on tape.
well,
No,
he is
watched it.
man whoring himself out to high school girls.
You have to. That's the game. Like, what are you?
You don't have
Oh,
to.
they're making me do it.
You just have to beat the bosses.
I mean, let's be real. Like, that's.
Be better, Nick.
God damn it! Jesus Christ!
No, it's good. It's good.
I don't even know how to bounce back
Did
from
you
this.
watch that
I don't-
trailer for that Trails Through Daybreak?
No,
yet or
no,
anything?
I have not.
He's
I
never
have
gonna
not-
play that.
I'm
He's
You
never
get half
going
a
to.
point for watching a trailer.
You're gonna give me a point for watching
I
the
won't
trailer?
do it. I won't do it. Full point or no.
Motherfucker.
All right.
That's actually pretty funny.
Bye.
Could he earn half a point? Oh damn! I was gonna ask if you could earn half a point if you played the DLC for 16.
I was already probably going to do
No.
that anyways.
Really?
Yeah, I said I would.
Okay. Eh.
You would.
I mean, we'll see. I haven't committed to anything yet, but it's certainly not priority.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what the back half of this year pretty much is at this point, so maybe put it on your calendar.
Maybe he will. All right, bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Thanks for all the subs, anonymous gifter. That's pretty
Indeed.
cool.
Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
I
That's
was
very nice of
I
you.
was like balls deep in my Persona rant there, so I didn't really see that. So shout out. And that's it. I gotta go to bed. So guys, it's been fun. Good job on playing Alone in the Dark, Chris Davis.
Hey, as much shit talking as Brad was doing, like, it's not bad. It
I know. I
really
don't
isn't.
I've actually heard that sentiment in quite a few places. So I'm gonna go ahead and right now I'm gonna add that to my wish list so I can keep an eye on it and then pick it up when it's on sale.
What is your threshold for buying it?
I think when it drops to 30.
30? Let me see what it's actually at right now.
It's at mostly positive. You know, that's pretty good. Oh, it's already on my wish list. Cool.
Glow in the
Yeah.
Dark,
So we're
20.
still in the introductory period discount, so it's probably going to go back to full price, and then I'll probably within a couple months it'll probably be down to 30 or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, it's down to 40 in some places, but yeah, not there.
Gotcha. All right. Well, guys, it's been fun. Peace out.
Yeah. Have a good night.